So good evening, everybody. I'm here to welcome Mr. Juergen Hase, the CEO of Unlimit by Reliance, and Mr. Thomas Schramm, the VP Technology and Services with Unlimit by Reliance. Mr. Juergen is a telecommunications industry veteran, having worked for around 30 years in developing, implementing, and executing new businesses in different global markets. In the IoT arena, he has experience of more than 10 years with knowledge and practical usage. Before Unlimit, he was the director of IoT at a Qatar-based group, and at that time he implemented IoT services in the Middle East with North Africa, Indonesia, and multiple vertical segments. Prior to this, he has been the founder and the vice president of M2M Competency Center based at the headquarters at Deutsch Telekom in Bonn. He has a great deal of experience around the globe to execute IoT of key verticals like automotive, industry, transport and logistics, energy and financial sector. Together with his experience, he has founded different IoT alliances, and he is working with many IoT relevant associations and boards around the world to execute IoT on a global scale. So we welcome you, Mr. Juergen, to our campus and our college, and we look forward to an interesting session with you. Of course, we have with us Thomas Schramm, who works along with Mr. Juergen Hase. He is currently the VP of Technology and Services. And he has more than around 25 years of experience in the telecommunications industry. He comes with a rich knowledge of M2M and IoT and has worked with different companies, including Deutsch Telekom as a senior solutions consultant, wherein he was responsible to set up the cloud business. He believes to make a customer-centric approach and wants to cater to their needs in the best possible way. So we welcome you, Mr. Thomas Schramm, into our midst and look forward to your session too. And in today's session, what we're going to have is data science, IoT, and the entire ecosystem that works together. And IoT in principle in terms of partner ecosystems, the power of data, unlimited execution plan, and much more. Examples, segment automotive, and of course IoT and its security in today's world. So we welcome you both to our campus, and we look forward to an interesting session with you. Thank you.
What's this? For the next one, okay. And I need a clicker for one. Oh, yeah. So, good afternoon, everybody. So, yes, my name is Juergen Hase. I'm a German. This is my colleague Thomas, as explained before. We have worked 25, 30 years, close to 30 years together in different companies. And it's wonderful that people are following a lifetime. And people partly believe I'm married with people believe partly I'm married with him. No, I have a wife and 4 kids. I'm not married with him. So, yes, today we have split it a little bit. That's the reason also why Thomas is here. He has the deep insights. What I'm telling in the first part is a little bit what's IoT, what we have done. You will see many, many slides in the first hour. It's more than 100 slides in 1 hour. You will see it will work. It will work. Later, we are coming to less slides, more insights, which are coming from Thomas' side. So, and if there are any questions at any time, please ask. We are here really here for an interaction for us. It's really important to start this. Good. As explained before, the last 10 years I wouldn't say IoT, because 10 years before, they never called it IoT. At that time, they called it machine to machine and other wonderful words. And we just discussed it also before. IoT, you are all data scientists. You're all the data experts. And it all works close together, because it doesn't work only talking about IoT and only talking about data scientists. All these things are coming closer and closer together, and this you will see especially here in the presentation. So, oh, it works. I've tried the new things in PowerPoint. You can see I'm old, but I'm learning. I've searched a little bit who you are. I'm sure you have also learned, searched a little bit about me. what I've seen was the data science life cycle. I believe you know it better than me. This is your part you are responsible for. You are learning, and from the business understanding, data mining, data cleaning, and all these wonderful things, at the end we need to solve customers' problem. Today, we are coming a little bit more about business understanding, because it's the most important one. Whatever you're doing later, if you are here wrong, and you don't understand where the customer's pain points, you will see it never works. And the other part is coming around what you're learning, math and statistics. Oops. It's a touch point? Okay, good. I've learned one more thing. I never will touch the screen here. Don't touch the screen, Thomas. Slide 2. Switch. Good. Yeah, what you are learning here is also math and statistics. You're learning from the universities and all these things. We are coming back more business knowledge. So this is one of the core parts I want to explain for today. So I'm a friend of pictures and emotion. I found this. This statement was done by the second man on the moon, not Neil Armstrong. The second man was, oh my God, I'm old. Buzz Aldrin. So, and I like it because it shows a little bit what is in front of you. There is no limitation. The Harvard universities, they have done a wonderful statement. Data scientist is to be the most sexiest job in the world for the future. So you are in. This is the things which are coming, all these stars, all these things which are coming up. So talking about IoT and innovation which are coming up, you can see how much time we have spent many years before to reach 50 million users for this, from the automotive and whatever is coming up. It's faster and faster. And this is one of the core elements I also see in IoT. You have to think much more disruptive. It's not that you establish any technology and you believe it will be happen for the next 10 years. It's super dynamic, and you are learning a lifetime. Especially, I can see it all the time, by learning daily new things. For example, that this is the touch screen. So how it has started, the IoT part, there was a person inside many years before, 30 years before. It never was called IoT, it was a different one. But something is different now. To see what's different now, click. Nothing is different. A new world is starting. Everything will be connected. We are talking about these 50 billion connected devices, 50 billion connected devices in the next years. And I believe nobody's thinking about it. It's much more than smartphones in the world. 50 billion connected devices. And this is wonderful for you because each device, each sensor means it's a data point. You're collecting data. That's the raw material for you in the future. And what does it mean per day? And this is for me the more touchable point. If we're talking about 50 billion devices in 5 years, means 20 million devices per day. The next 3 hours, there will be millions of devices which are coming, 1 million per hour. It's crazy. And they are collecting data a lifetime. So how to crunch this, how to this make happen in the future, this is one of the core elements. So before we are starting, a few more points I want to address. Things are changing. That's not me. So, okay. So things are changing. We're living in a shared world. I will come mass customizing, peer-to-peer trading, and the massive growth of data. Sharing, we are living in a shared world. I'm old, I'm a German, I like cars. German like cars. They're the best cars in the world. This is the advertising part now. What does it mean? I'm a person who likes to buy a car. For me, a car is a status. I need a car. Here in India, I'm not driving. A different reason. To drive in India is a little bit tricky. But in principle, you like it. I have 4 kids. My oldest kid is 25, 23, 21, and 17. No one of them is interested in to buy a car. It's the next generation. They're not buying a car. They're living in a shared world. They want to use a car when they need a car for the next hour, for the supermarket, wherever. They're not buying a car. They're living in a shared world. That means the business models are changing. That means where is the car? Where I can use the car? I need the right app where I can use the car. It's not only Ola or Uber. I was in a few weeks before in Berlin. In Berlin, there are, from last year to this year, a growth of a bicycle. So, and last year they have had around about 7,000 bicycles in Berlin. Now it's growing up to 18,000 bikes you can rent for an hour. It's a strong growing business, and I'm sure it's also coming to India. That means we have to think about what does it mean. Where are the cars? Collecting. They need sensors. We have to collect the data. Where is the bike? Where's the car? And who's using it? And where he is placing. It's never that you're placing the car back to the original place. You can place it wherever you want. We are living in a shared world. And I like this one statement. I believe my kids are sharing whatever they want in their life. I believe the only part I hope they never will share is the boy or the girlfriend they have. The rest is shared. They're living in a shared world. So that means, in principle, pay for ownership is moving to pay for use. Crystal clear. Pay per use. This is a strong statement. Another part is, you know, Henry Ford made a wonderful statement. You can have any color as long as it's black. Today, it has changed total. You can buy a Nike, You can buy a Nike or Adidas, whatever, sports shoe, fully individual, and you will get it in hours and days. It's also mass production in the back, but it's full digital. It's full digital. You can order it online in different colors and whatever. They send it, they will produce it in time, and will send it in days. And this is the impact of the digital transformation in the future. Crystal clear, a mega trend which is coming up. You believe it's individual, at the end it's not, but it looks like. Peer-to-peer trading, for this you need blockchain. Crystal clear. It's much more peer-to-peer in any form. There's no big master on the back who is managing this. Another part is whatever's coming up, data volume, I believe it's growing. You know it better than me. Important one is what is relevant data. We have to talk about relevant data. I give you an example. We have done an interesting project with a copy company. A company is producing copy machines and other things. And the first part they asked for, okay, connecting the machines for remote maintenance and all these services. What data parameter you need? I want to get all the data, hundreds and thousands of parameters. When? All time, real time, online, always on. Why? Getting the right data. You need 5 or 10 parameters at the beginning to crunch it and to analyze the machine and to optimize the machine. And then step by step, really right data. This is one of the core elements. Good. If we're talking about the market, coming. The 50 billion, the 27, and it's not a hype. I believe it's crystal clear it's coming because there are more than 5 million developers only working on the IoT space. IoT, data part, and so on and so on. It's a huge developer community already working on all of this. It's not a trend or a hype, it's crystal clear coming. Some figures for the India market, I believe you also know it's a 50 billion opportunity by 2020. We can talk about 2020, 50 billion. We can talk about 50 billion in 2022. Forget it. It's a huge demand. A wave is coming, and you are a part of this. This is a core element. And many startups are coming, especially in India. The 2.7 billion connected devices by 2020 and so on. Good. Coming to the application. Unlimit is a young organization. We have started 2 years ago. I remember in July 2016 when I entered the Reliance group and stepped in, was a huge floor, empty. This is your space, and please ramp up the business. Okay, good luck. And you're thinking what you're doing. One part is really hiring people. First question was pick up the phone, Thomas, what you are doing the next years. Country India. So the point is really one part, ramp up an organization. The second part is really which application? What is the core element? Where we are starting? From our side, we have made a decision. You can talk about healthcare, the connected cars, thousands of things. You can see it's a big, big picture. From our side, we have selected 3 areas. The connected vehicle, the 4-wheeler, 2-wheeler markets, we come later on. Connected vehicle is a wonderful example. Industry 4.0 is a core element also for all of you, I'm sure, if you're in industry. In Industry 4.0 doesn't mean it's on the shop floor. It's a part of the story. Industry 4.0 means also digital marketplace, how to sell, how to interact with my customer. It's much, much more than only on the shop floor, some machine optimizing, many, many more things. And the last point is really, at that time we called the Reliance Group. It's not only Reliance Group. We have many special projects we're adding. Later on, you will see a little bit more what does it mean. So you can see, I like pictures. It's a mission possible, not a mission impossible. That's not me, that's Thomas. So talking about the automotive industry, it's a strong growing business year on year. If you see where the automotive industry is growing, as the German, Volkswagen, BMW, where the growth is coming from? From China, from India. It's not coming from Europe. Yes, it's a little, but the growth is coming from China, from India. Why all of them are placing their manufacturers and all these things in this region? Because the business is coming from this region. So, but everybody, if you're talking about connected cars or connected vehicle, we are talking all the time about new cars. But never forget installed base. A huge demand is already coming from installed base. That means how many new cars coming year on year, and how many are already existing cars. The same is for any machine. Whatever you're doing, don't think about, oh, Greenfield, I'm doing cool things for new machines, whatever. How I can collect data from existing machines, like the copy machines, from the copy machines. They have hundreds, thousands of copy machines installed. How I can collect data from these machines, not only Greenfield. It's very, very important to implement these solutions, which is much more complex. Greenfield is easier. Here, this is the complex one. Good. Coming to a car, connected cars is many wonderful services. In principle, there are 3 areas. One part is security. We called it emergency call. Things like this are also coming to India. That means if there's an accident, I call it, there's a last call, hopefully never a last call. There's a call to an emergency center who's trying to support you, to help you. It never should be a last call. Then you have maintenance for a car, any form of maintenance of the car, with the engine, with the AC, thousands of things. And the third one is any form of entertainment in a car. That means you will get in the future streaming services, you will get in the future hotspot in the car, Wi-Fi. The best idea in the world. I have 4 kids, and if you have Wi-Fi in the back, silence. It's silence, believe me. And if you are young, you will also get many, many kids, and you will think about this function. So, and many other services. It means you're collecting a lot of data in the future, and it's not only tracking a car. It's much, much more. It's the first time in their life. Normally, when a manufacturer is like Maruti is producing cars, they are selling cars to a dealer, and the dealer is selling it to you. Normally, when they have sold it to the dealer, the interaction to the end customer is off. It's the same like a washing machine. Good example is a washing machine. There's a dealer between, and then there's no interaction with the end customer. This is the first time they have an interaction with the end customer. You have a triangle. Manufacturer, end customer, and the dealer. They have to talk to each other. That means when you're talking about data collection, which data is relevant for whom, all these things are coming up. So then all these wonderful V2 whatever, car to car, car to bike, to the house, all these new services are coming up. I will not explain. But it's an open architecture. And the same you will find, the same picture I can draw when I'm placing, I never touch it, this to here and otherwise. That means the house is also new services are coming up. Security services in a house and a connected home, maintenance, and also entertainment in a house. That means the pattern, and you like pattern, I'm sure you like pattern, is more or less the same, which has an impact on technology in the back. So connected vehicle, what we are doing is the emergency call, entertainment, car to car, the commercial vehicles, you know, the government announcement with AS 140, so that means each public transport has to be tracked. But tracking means also collecting the data, and now what's happened with all the data in the future. And electro-mobility, which is coming up also super strong in India. It's changing the world. It's changing the world. So the e-scooters, the e-bikes, the e-cars which are coming up, because then you have an interaction also with the charging station. That means where are my charging station in the future? Who's loading? What is the payment process? That means many, many others are in this area. So this is the architecture behind this. You have the two-wheelers, three, four-wheelers, or any form of wheelers, commercial wheels, the tractor, whatever. And this architecture you will find again and again. You have a connectivity layer. You're talking about I have to manage all my devices. An application layer. We're talking about big data, analytics, simple rule-based analytic up to much more complex. Cognitive services, and then, for example, what we are also offering in a connected car is a content distribution platform, because if you have a Wi-Fi in the car, they like it to get content. You need a content distribution platform plus content. But coming back, horizontal layer, and I'm coming now to the next segment, you will find more or less the same layer, which is important if you're implementing an architecture. So Industry 4.0, many words. A simple thing is when you're using IoT and all the services beyond, I like to simplify it. There are two things you're doing. The first thing is how I can implement more efficiency, saving money, and the second wave, which is coming up, how I can generate new services that I'm better than my competitors. These are the two topics. And here are only some figures when you're using how you can saving, benefits, and so on and so on. I believe all these slides will be shared, although this should be a problem. People like, if you're talking about Industry 4.0, some figures from India. You have many robot companies also coming from India. And people think Industry 4.0 means, oh, let's talk about robots. Robots is one part of this. So, and it's not the full story. But if you're looking where's the placement of India in the robot world, actually, I believe there's potential to grow in the future. You're doing a lot, but there are a lot of things also, opportunities to go ahead. But it's more than counting robots. Coming to this slide is, a new world, everything that can be digital will be digital. This is crystal clear. Here you find what else you can do. You'll find different colors. The top line grows. Here we're talking about the bottom line impact. That means on the inventory, the efficiency. That shows what does it mean if you're talking about Industry 4.0 digital transformation. There's a much bigger impact than only counting robots, monitoring robots. We are talking about how to sell it, how to interact with my customer, service, quality. As there's an impact on my products. If I'm knowing the behavior of my customer, my end customer, I can change my product much faster. So a good example is from Harley-Davidson. They've implemented different services or different things of Industry 4.0, but they have, at the end, cost saving, 7%, increase the margin, and at the end is the production time is much, much faster. Efficiency, 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 which is the core element most of the time if you're talking about IoT at the beginning. So use cases, no limitation on use cases. Think disruptive. I wouldn't explain any of them. I give you another example. We both, when we have worked for Deutsch Telekom, we have connected cows in Austria. It was in Austria. People think, oh, why are you connecting cows? It's much more, a cow is normally, it sounds a little bit crazy, but it's an industrial good. A cow has to produce as much milk as possible, as many calves as possible. And the problem is, if you're not at the right time there, it doesn't work, especially the cows which are on the field. And there's an interaction between the cow and the animal doctor. That means now the animal doctor is measuring the temperature of the cow. It sounds a little bit crazy, but it's reality. It's measuring the temperature of the cow, and if the temperature is right, the animal doctor is moving to the field where the cow is and producing a calf. You know what I mean. He's there at the right time. And then it's all fine. It's growing. It's now pregnant. And later on, when the calf has to be born, the animal doctor is a few weeks before is placing a digital sensor around the head of the cow. And when the cow is shaking with the head, you know the calf will be born in the next 4 weeks, in the next 4 hours. So that means the animal doctor will be at the right time, at the right place, so that the calf can be born. So 2 things is the efficiency, and then if there are more calves, more milk will be produced. That means there's a direct impact. More than 15% growth of calves and milk of this cow. Now, the joke, never think about when you're at home and your wife is shaking with the head, is a different impact. Good. Building blocks, the same, connectivity up to value-added services. Coming back, pattern. You have to select pattern. So the same is for transport and logistics. I will not step in. It's a huge business, huge business. It's not only tracking trucks, asset management, expensive goods, cooling goods, any good you want to track, you want to manage. A huge demand on this side. You find many different use cases around this. It's from the harbor to the trucks and whatever you find, it will be connected. It's a digital world, the 50 billion connected devices, coming back all the time to this. Architecture is the same. The same you will find on farms. I will not explain too many things on farms. Farmers will be more digital. The key problem we have all the time, independent of India, is most of the time they have no connectivity. They are far away of any connectivity. They need coverage. And this is one of the core elements. You can see also now that more base stations are placed in areas like this so that you can collect the data. Without collecting the data, no use cases. Many use cases. Think about drones. I personally believe drones is a huge business for maintain things, for search for things and doing many things around this. Smart cities also. To be honest, I'm not a fan of smart cities. Why not? The point is most of the time there are wonderful use cases. Everybody's happy, but nobody's willing to pay for the service. You like the service, and it's independent of Indian. Most of the problem is people are not willing to pay for the service. And this is the most critical part when you can be funded by anybody, but in the long term you have to survive if you're a startup or whatever you're doing. Changing? Done? Now I can tell you the truth. No, we are offline. No? Good. Evolution of smart cities. I wouldn't explain too many things, but I personally believe in smart cities. Think about some verticals like waste management, water management, traffic management, energy management. 4 topics. I believe here there's a crystal clear return on investment, a use case where people or organizations are willing to pay for. And whatever you're doing also, if you're crunching data, think about who's paying for this. What is the business model behind this? Without a business model, it never works. So last point is everybody likes to talk about the wearables. I found a few things in the internet. An implantator with sensors. I hope I never will use it, to be honest. You can do it. You are the next generation. More than happy if you want to use all these wonderful things. But I personally believe it's coming step by step. I found this in the internet. It's more the consumer part, but crazy things which are coming up on this side. So, one of my learnings here is the last 2 years in India. We are in touch with many, many partners. To manage all of this, you need a partner ecosystem. Everybody believes coming from Europe, from US, and telling you, let's do the same here in India. It doesn't work most of the time. Why it doesn't work? I like this picture. The two sides. Things you believe you see, you don't see, or you can see it in a different way. There's the global wishes and the local reality. And the best example is smart parking in Europe. It's a little bit different. And that's the reason why you can see I like to simplify things. It's not easy. You cannot copy and paste use cases one-to-one to the India market. You have to adapt it. I'm sure there are use cases for smart parking, but you have to find the right way how to handle it. The same, you have the regulator. This is one part in India is all the time price pressure, pricing, cost, bill of material. I personally believe you can do any proof of concept with any technology around the world. If you want to scale it up, make it really mass market in India, you have to produce it in India. It's the only way how it works. It's a huge opportunity, and we believe in this. Unlimit, for example, is now creating its own R&D department because we believe you have to develop more hardware also and software on the device side, because if it works in India, you can sell it around the world. Good. Yeah, I talked about blockchain. Everybody is also talking about 5G and all the new things which are coming up. Don't think too much ahead, because, for example, 5G is a technology you will find in a few years, but you cannot wait. You have to implement what's happened now. It's 2G, 4G technology with all the services beyond. So what's special in India is the price pressure, national roaming, super special here in India, regulator, and how to handle a cloud, which is important for all the data people. Good luck. Yeah, business models are changing, as explained. Really important. If you're thinking about shared services and all these things which are coming up, think about how to handle all these things, all these new things. Think much more disruptive. Forget what was happened before, what is possible, and if you're thinking about use cases, to be honest, ask your family, your best friends, are you willing to pay for this service? How much you're willing to pay for this? 100 rupee, 1,000 rupee, 1 lakh, whatever. Are you really willing to pay for this? And if 10 of your best friends are telling, I'm not interested in, never would buy this, think about it. Good. New players are coming. I believe you know it better than me. All these wonderful startups are coming. India is now number 3 in the startup world. Most of them, what I've learned, at the beginning, everybody talked about simple M2M IoT. Now everybody is a data scientist. Everybody's talking about data, how to crunch data, how to handle data, which is wonderful. We need them. I'll give you an example. It's coming later. In the last 2 years, we have selected and certified around about 350 partners. And most of the partners are coming from India, because you have to manage a solution together with the right partners, and you have to certify them. Good. The architecture, I believe this one we explained a little bit before. I like this picture because it's all the time the same, and you need this horizontal layer. Beyond this, you have all the vertical impact. To handle a healthcare is different compared to handle connected cars, then to handle energy or whatever you want to do. But you need to scale it up, horizontal layer. Between this, you have APIs to connect things. This is the structure of the future. Forget silos, especially on this layer. Forget silos. In the future, if you want to address the bill of materials, the cost side, you have to scale it up. You need something like this. And it's the last mile that could be really super specific. The rest, if it's possible, really you need horizontal layer. And I want to add 2 more points here is simplify things for a customer. That means when you want to onboard a customer, good example, a smartphone. if a smartphone, to start a smartphone is so complex, you never would use it. Make it as simple as possible. It was one of the key elements of all the smartphone brands in the world. The Apples, the Samsung in the world. Make it smooth, smart. We have to think the same when we want to connect the millions and billions of devices. Make it simple and easy for customer to onboard it. For this, you need starter kits, developer kits. Make it simple. And the same as if you're talking about data. Absolutely the same. So simplicity. Only one slide. I hope I have the right slide. Yeah, I have the right slide. In 1916, NASA was faced with a major problem. They need something to write in the space. The NASA has developed an astronaut pen for around about $50 million, and the Russians have used a pencil. Before you're doing this, think about what are alternatives. Coming back, think disruptive. It's not all the time looking historical forward. Think a little bit what else I can do, how I can go in a different way. That's the reason why I like this picture. So ecosystem, as explained before, to manage IoT, you need an ecosystem. You have a target market, whatever is your target market you want to address. Could be retail, could be the consumer market, whatever. You need horizontal layers, including the data, the big data, the analytic part is all included. And then you need specific partner for manage the different verticals, the segmentation. And you need somebody who has to orchestrate this. Of course, expectation on a customer side is coming back to a smartphone. If my smartphone is not working, I'm not willing to talk to all the hard and software suppliers of a smartphone. I want to talk to one person, to one company. And the same is if you're implementing IoT in any form, you need a crystal clear single point of contact for the customers. And we are addressing, for example, this. Unlimit is a full agnostic organization who's doing this. Good. Our partner strategy, we have started with 0. It was an empty floor. Now we have actually around about 325 or 330 different partners from field service, hardware, software, data analysts. It's all inside, and it's so important because you cannot manage it alone. We are not able to manage. We are experts in a few areas, but the customer, to solve customers' pain points, you need an end-to-end solution. For this, you need the right partners. And is one of the core elements in the future, partner ecosystem, how to make it happen, how to select the right one. You need a certification program, and so that you really can work with the right one. We have divided this in 3 areas. A few strategic partners on the horizontal layers, some domain-specific partners, and some special project partners. But this is an old slide. Beyond now, we have more than 300 already. I believe this is already a few months old, this slide. Good. What else we are doing? If you're talking about IoT, we're talking about innovation. That's the reason why I'm today here. To be in touch with universities. I'm super interested in all of you to discuss what's your view. Like our organization, we have a few old men like him and me. He's younger. But we have also many people coming from universities. We have a good mix. And we are the only 2 Germans. The rest are coming from, all of them are coming from India. But you need a mix. People with experience, people who have done this, people who are thinking disruptive and thinking all these layers. No? We started with connectivity application. Now we're looking much more for data scientists, for example, for people who have the knowledge, who have all these knowledge or not knowledge, who have the ideas, what else we can do in the future. So you have to be a part of different associations because regulator, association, super important. What else we have done? We are in touch with startups. We have done an idea contest. We are doing this normally twice a year to thinking about collecting ideas from university, from students, from different organizations. And there's an award, and at the end of the day, we're also producing things. The outcome is really we want to make this happen as a product and selling this to the market. We're doing a hackathon in different ways. All this, it's a must. It's not, oh, this is an option we can do. It's a must. We're talking about innovation. We're talking about the full stack of IoT. So what we have done, coming to Unlimit as an organization, coming back to this wonderful, everybody's knowing this Eiffelturm. It's not done in one day. We have done mistakes. We have learned a lot. We have learned about culture, how European people work with Indian people, how different is the Indian market. But this is all a part of the evaluation. And it's never that this is a blueprint, this is the right answer for all the questions. No, you have to learn day by day and to optimize it again and again in a really disruptive way. So that was the first day. That's me. Why is this me? My name is Juergen Hase, and Hase is the German word for a rabbit. That's the reason why I like this picture. Where's Thomas? No. Thomas, where you are? No, not there. It's a dog in the middle. Let's see. Okay. But you have to work as a team. This is the core element. So it was founded in 2016. July, we are addressing B2B to X market, B2B to B to C, whatever. So it's not, we are addressing less the end customer market. And then you are alone on the floor. You have to create a new organization. So how to start up, how to make it happen. That on one side you have to develop an organization, you have to hire the right people, you have to think about which technology, what are the market segmentation, and then at the end you have to teach the market, because IoT and all these things are new markets, and you have to explain them. If you're in front of a customer, and he's asking, please tell me, I want to implement Industry 4.0. To be honest, 90% have no deep insights about Industry 4.0. What does it mean? What exactly they want to do? And it's less that a salesperson is coming and I have in my pocket 5 tariffs and 10 smartphones. It's much more you have to listen to the customer. You need a new type and skill of salespeople, for example. They have to listen with a white paper. And salespeople don't like this. Because the customer could ask questions they never heard, and they're not understanding this. This is the reason, for example, why we are hiring actually more pre-sales people than sales people with a little bit more technical background. But listen to the customer. Don't sell things and don't listen to the customer. That never works. So, coming back to one of those wonderful pictures, this is what customer believes. He is ramping up the stairs, and it's ending. It's not working, the picture. And this is the confusion a customer normally has. He believes he can implement IoT, he believes he can all these wonderful things, but he's struggling. He's struggling. So, and what we have done on this side, we have implemented an IoT ecosystem with many, many partners from sensors, networks, but as agnostic as possible. I will not explain it too deep, but really starting from hardware, software, the pure connectivity, the analytics, standards. What are standards? Think about standards, do it in the right form, and how to integrate it and how to roll it out. If you're talking about, we have one application we have done is transformer monitoring, and for 10,000 of transformer, for maintain a transformer, increase the life cycle, the lifetime of a transformer. And it sounds so easy. Plug in a few transformer. But are you happy to implement? If I'm telling you there's a transformer, 10,000 volt, here's the sensor, good luck. It doesn't work. That means you need the right skill set. Mass rollout is not so easy. Connect cars in the aftermarket. Where you want to do it? If you want to do it for 10,000, 100,000, don't think about only platforms and technology, also how to operate it, how to implement it. It's one of the core elements. So this is our rule. We are hopefully this. You have all these wonderful buzzwords and technologies who are coming together. And again, we are learning all the time. It's not that we are the master of disaster. We are learning and learning and learning all the time. So coming back to people we need. Think disruptive. This was one of the culture. I've also learned how it works in India, I remember we just talked before this. One of the first days, there was one employee. He was in my office, and I told him, okay, I have 4 projects. I've explained to him project 1, and he told me, yes, I will do, not a problem. Project 2, no problem. Project 3, 4, 5. I'm sure I could hand over 6 projects to him. All the time he's saying yes. And I thought, okay, he's a genius. I've never seen a genius like him. 2 weeks later, I thought, okay, let's start a review. And the outcome is a culture. My learning is Indian people like to say yes. They like to say yes, I will do, because they don't like to say no. They don't like to say no, or I need tools, I need more resources. All the time, they think a little bit more hierarchical. And if you're thinking or working in the space of IoT and all the new things, you have to work much more as a team. People have to say no, or yes, but I need A, B, C, D. So that was, for example, a culture learning, so that, okay, now I've told him, and please, next time, it was crystal clear, next time, please, come and tell me what's possible, what's not possible. It's one of the core elements for all the digital things in the future. Work in teams, learn from others all the time, and share your knowledge. Whatever you're knowing, don't, oh, that's mine, I know it better than you, because you can see you have many, many different technologies, and it only works together if you are as open as possible. So, if you're implementing IoT and all these wonderful new services, people thinking normally, talking first about technologies, process, and last but not least, the people. Especially in Industry 4.0, in the automotive sector, most important thing is at the beginning, on the customer side, talk to people. People have to be educated, trained on new services. If you come with all your data things, I'm sure on the other side there are many people, they're struggling. Oh, what these guys are telling me. I've heard many of these words, but I'm not really an expert about it. So please talk about people, how deep they are involved, and work much more. You're starting a journey with the customer. It's less that you're selling something and you will never will come back. You're starting a journey over years with the customer, implementing new things on top. So this is our story. I wouldn't explain it too long. We have started 2016. End of 17, we were around about 60 people at that time. Now we are beyond 70 people. The only thing I want to explain is it only works if you're working close together with partners. I've implemented IoT in Deutsch Telekom and in the Middle East. In Deutsch Telekom, we have tried to develop our own platforms. I never would do this again. It's so complex, so complex. Find the right partners who are experts on their side and work close together with them. For example, our strategic partners, they are sitting in the same office. Partly, I don't know, is it a partner or is this one employee of us working close together with them? And I believe this is a benchmark. Nobody has implemented IoT faster than us around the world, because we have done this in 18 months on all layers. Good. New skills. As explained before, we need new people, new skills. I believe this I've just explained. Internet of brains. We need brains, people who are bringing their ideas on the table. Cool ideas or not so cool ideas, but let's discuss it. This is one of the most important elements. This are you, the most sexiest job, or the data scientist here. You can work as hard as you want as a talent, but nothing to say. I believe the sentence is crystal clear. Our portfolio, we are offering from products, projects, value-added services. I wouldn't explain that's not why I've added this picture. That's not Thomas, no. We are producing many things. We're making the bananas in a curve. No, we're not making bananas on a curve. This is our portfolio from planning things. We have learned you need a value-added consulting at the beginning. We are not implementing technology. First step is most of the time talk to customer, consult him, teach him an interaction with the customer. Then this on design and analyze the process, then how to connect things, application layer, and then more to save and make money, how to crunch data, how to use data in the right form. And here we are now in the next step. Now we're talking about the data lake, how we can offer new services for the future, for a third party, make it sense to be a data broker in the next years, for example. Everybody's talking about data broker. What does it mean in India? No, is this is a part of our story, for example? I personally believe yes. This is the reason why we have started our Think Big initiative. Whatever you're doing, think one step forward, what's coming next, what could be next. We have developed our 360-degree circle. We have talked about innovation, people, to be disruptive, knowledge, whatever's coming up, how to sell products, go to market. One of the core elements, you can develop and produce the best Ferrari in the world. If nobody's knowing about it and you don't know how to sell it, it never will work. Go to market. Not only developing things, how I can address the market, direct, indirect, and so on and so on. And the next step for the future, we're also thinking about merger and acquisition, make a sense to acquire partners or to get some shares, to be more involved for core things we are developing, and to be a data broker and all the other things. The power of data. This is the next step. We are thinking a lot about it. We got the approval from the board to go ahead on this side. We want to offer in the future data as a service. Crystal clear, data as a service is one of the core elements. But whatever we are doing, never forget security. The S in IoT stands for security. The point is there's no S in IoT. What I've learned that most of the companies are implementing IoT, and if it's done, then I think about, okay, now talk about security. That's too late. Security, you have to design in from the beginning. It's the only part I want to share here today. Security is especially from these sensors, devices, any platform, how to handle data, how to handle data privacy, data security in a regulator-conform way and also in a secure way, because I want anybody who's using my data in the future, I want to know about as a private person. I want to know. That's the reason why I personally believe blockchain is one of the core elements for this. So one of the last slides here is, from my side, I personally believe you have to think more intelligent at the edge on the device. It's not all in the cloud on centralized platforms. You need more intelligent, also analytic tools on the device, because you are not all the time connected to any central technology, to any back-end system. I believe you need really, really more intelligent at the edge and on the device, which is not in line with low power. Everybody's talking about that there's no power, energy consumption, but you need it. It's especially in countries like India and China, where the coverage is not all the time the best. So blockchain, I believe, especially on the last mile, I personally believe it's a must. It's coming up. What we are doing, our activities in the future, we are thinking more global. We have follow our customers outside the country. We are implementing more security elements. We have a dedicated security team. We have a dedicated data team who's thinking what's beyond rule-based analytics, what is beyond silo analytics, and all these things, what's coming if there's a data lake with available data for only enterprise customers or for the public part. This is one part. And inorganic growth. So Scrum is, I like it, to use more Scrum. And Scrum is like your mother-in-law. It points out all your faults. We need it. We have to work in a different way. So that's me, that's Thomas. Don't be brave if you're working in the IoT space. I've explained it many times. Please, whatever you believe, bring it on the table. Spend time, write it down, share your ideas so that we all together can develop your things. And don't believe it's going ahead in the same way. My father has started a job and he has worked 50 years in the same company. We all will change it again and again. It's normal. I believe this is one of the core elements. So, we want to be wow. Wow. Nothing else to say. And there are three responses to a piece of design: yes, no, or wow. Whatever we are doing, it should be a wow effect. A wow effect. Wow, that's cool. That's interesting. I like it. I want to participate. I want to buy it. I want to sell it. I want to develop it. So that's my last slide. I am less than 1 hour, 100 slides. You have seen. Hopefully, it has worked from my side. I've shared some big picture. Thomas is now coming with all the insights. That's his part. He's telling me most of the time I'm responsible for blah, blah, but he is the person who has knowledge. Hopefully not. Yeah, any question from now? Yeah.
So I'm kind of going to the next level where you're talking about security.
Yeah.
First perspective is what I'm trying to put up over here. So we've seen some experiments, or rather I've seen an experiment which has kind of been on the web, wherein they've managed to kind of run the car, which was an IOT, and it was completely...
Yes, and he's explaining exactly this example. Yeah. Yes, exactly this. If you can wait, and he's explaining exactly this example.
The second perspective of security is, if I'm on a highway and I'm probably crossing a limit, I would want to know where is the next stop stand.
You can buy things. Yeah, but it's not allowed. I would never offer you. I can tell you where you can buy it, but I never would offer you. Yeah. It is.
I have read about it that some kind of thing is happening over here.
It's coming. Yeah.
They are kind of trying to image.
So this is already an add-on to the connected car ecosystem. In the European automotive sector, you see now from the EU it's coming, that the smart city projects, as an example, are merging together with the automotive platforms. Good example is BMW, so the exclusive class, is 100% connected already to your private life. And you can even plug in your Outlook calendar, so the car knows exactly what's going on. So if you're coming into traffic jam, it could be automatic generated emails that you will be late and so on and so forth. You're passing a good restaurant, then you're calling the BMW concierge service. There was a restaurant, I don't remember anymore. So these kind of things are already there. So but this was so far always within the automotive platform. Now there are the first programs to interconnect already other platforms to each other in the context of smart city parking. So if I want to go to a mall, parking information is coming from the mall or from the city. So this information is also now going on the automotive platform as a data sourcing service. And there you have already the first cases where we have platforms that are already talking to each other, coming out of totally different segments. And this will be now going on and on and on. And this is the reason why we also want to be there on this level of data broker. So I will also give you an example for the automotive sector, for the insurance companies. It's a good example of how cross functions are working to each other. The problem at the moment is what are the data models, and with the data models, what kind of business models. It's not the technology.
So this kind of extending that further, because the reason I'm asking this question, especially from the automotive perspective, is the amount of road infrastructure that's going in India. That is number one. As a result of that, the amount of resurgence of automotive needs to be controlled.
All of them are coming. All of them, yeah.
Having said that, these two things combined together, you are looking at a whole lot of roads which is coming into play. Number one. Number two is you need to have a kind of continuous track for the automobile which is running on the road. Mainly because let's say you're running on a highway, you are not kind of completely aware that the car is going to run from the front. probably another 10 kilometers or so, is a walking distance from here.
Yeah.
So it's really probably within a go back.
As I said, international-wise, it's already there.
Yeah.
So this kind of services you can book. So it's a paid service on the international platforms. The problem with these international platforms, all these automotive OEMs, they are designed for the architecture.
I need.
Japanese market from the technology, from regulation, they are quite similar. So the problem. Okay. Okay. So the story is the architecture of these platforms are designed for markets where the automotive companies were thinking, okay, where can we place this add-on services the first time? And partially also the regulations in that countries were following then also this idea. So now we have a given architecture around connected cars, now also in combination with connected city, that is coming from the Western world. And now we are entering here, and at least now they're trying to enter the local market here. And more than 10,000 reasons why the global platforms are not here, starting from the pricing. Then the biggest showstopper is regulation. Because the Indian regulator, especially for IoT, is now starting their definitions. So a good example was also when we were starting with our service from Unlimit, one of our first products was a managed SIM card. So for the IoT sector, you need special functions around your SIM cards. No one wants to deal with the problem of a customer in IoT. So I need to give him a tool to manage the SIM card. He should never call me. So that means I need already a special tool in front of the network operator that this customer can see the SIM card. That means for even on the level of SIM, the local regulator is so different here than in the rest of the world. Juergen was mentioning it already, your local roaming that you have here between the circles. It's also a challenge that is never where else in the world. So the solution design was not that on that way. Then all cars are coming already with voice from the international market, especially the ones that are having this infotainment solutions. In India, it was at least 2 months back, it was even not allowed to use voice on an IoT SIM card. So you see, there are a lot of local special requirements, what Juergen was already mentioning. You have to adapt your international solution. Maybe you can do it price-wise, but maybe then other things are not working. And do you really believe that a global OEM is changing his core architecture to install it here again on a lower price version? Never ever. And that's the reason, that's why I will show you this also, why the OEMs are going here a different way in India. And the complexity at the end of the day, it's always the same. Plus also what you've mentioned, so the map quality that the automotive sector is using in Europe, US, and Japan, and also now in China, is much, much better than here in India. Because we have a lot of multiple layers on top of it. It's not only the geographic information, from where to where the street is going, also the condition. Then what kind of speed limits do I have, and so on and so forth. So this multi-layer function around the map, it's here still under development. Partially these platforms are using that already. So again, someone has to change on the back end a global platform. So things are coming, and this is the interesting part. I will tell you how the local OEMs or even Japanese OEMs are changing their connected car concept to the local requirements.
I want to only address one remark from regarding these platforms. What we have done, for example, in Germany was connecting container solution for the harbor. And it shows how things are coming together. The problem is a harbor where the ships are coming, the container ships are coming, are restricted area for tax reasons, 1,000 reasons. So that means the problem is that a truck has to be at the right time below the crane when it's a problem. So because there's a limited parking space, it's all the time a problem. So what they have done, for example, is that because the ship is not coming in time, it's coming too early, too late, it's not coming at the time they've expected. What they're doing now is really, and it's a solution they've done in the harbor of Hamburg. They have connected the container ships, the harbor, and the trucks, and some other organization. For example, when the ship is coming, then the truck is informed, please wait additional 2 hours on far away of Hamburg, because you can start, there's less traffic jam, all the additional information. You can start at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, then 50 minutes later you will be in the harbor of Hamburg and the ship is coming and you get exactly your container. So to optimize the process. And they've added value-added services. For example, what they have done, they are in touch with the restaurants which are around the highway. So they're making advertising. They're telling the truck driver, please come to me, you will get a coffee for free. And you have to pay less, a special discount. That shows how different players are coming together. And it's a wonderful example why you need a data lake to combine all these things in the future. And we have to think much more about this. Another problem is, for example, Thomas will explain later on the UBI services in insurance. I personally believe it's all the time a problem. If you're an owner of an insurance company, you want to implement your IoT services with your black box in a car, and the black box is too expensive. You have to pay, I don't know, $100 a year for your car insurance. Why you should pay $30 one time for a black box in a car get a discount of $5 a year? That makes no sense. So the black box in a car for future services has to be for the car driver for free. He has to pay with his data. It's the same like Facebook is doing. At the end, you're paying, if you're using Facebook, you're paying with your data. People are using the data on the back. It's the same as if you're talking about in the future the connected car. The black box has to be free. And then, coming back to the business models behind, we have to think about who is interested in this data. The car manufacturers, the dealers, whoever. And you can offer different types of data. Simple data, one time a day, data information where you are. It could be dynamic data, so that you will be tracked each hour. There could be super expensive data information with more information, whatever, detailed information about you as a person. That means different structure of data, which has to be offered to somebody between. And for this, you need blockchain, because if it's this my data, I want to know who's using my data. That means we have to swap the business model in total, and how to make it acceptable for the customer, so that he has to use it. If he wants to use it, he shouldn't buy the black box, because if all of you have different companies, and there are 10 black boxes in the car, that doesn't work. This is a change on the world which is coming up. Why I personally believe you need all these partner. You need a partner ecosystem with the right partners to manage it. Good. Now I want to head over to Thomas. I believe you need this, that they are following you. That's the camera.
Yeah.
So you can keep it in your pockets.
Can you repeat the question?
Bill of materials.
Yeah.
Okay. You mean bill of materials.
What is below?
Bill of materials.
What is it?
The bill of material in percentage.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
In the construction field or infrastructure. On the basis of that, they are losing 2 to 3% margin because due to incorrect bill of materials or materials reaching at site is wrong, or the manpower used, the defined manpower is going to too much high. So on the basis of they are losing money. So what is the bill of materials you use? Like that?
So the good answer is there is no generic answer. And that's mainly the problem of IoT. No, thanks. Exactly. So the problematic of IoT in that case is, Juergen was mentioning the case of container tracking, no? Or transformer monitoring. You have here in your installation 100,000 of transformers. Why no energy company has been so far rolled out a complete transformer monitoring solution? Why no one has done that? Why are all the base stations of the NMOs, network operators, are not monitored? It's not the 5 parameters that we are collecting there, temperature or door open or whatever. No? The 5 parameter is nothing. No? The installation, the rollout, and keep it in operation. That's the tricky part, especially here in that condition. So my business case around my BOM, around transformer monitoring, forget the pure hardware. In that moment, I have to develop here a solution that is really stable and reliable, because I have to go only one time on site. When I'm going already the second time, then the case of this location is already negative. And this is a good example for a transformer monitoring solution. So if you want to map this now to bill of material, forget the gateway and the sensor for the 5 parameters, also not the communication costs. What does this hands and feet team cost me? And how good are they? Is this team when they're doing the installation? So my BOM, if I'm investing a little bit more in a more qualified rollout team, then the calculation is totally different. If I'm taking too much the price pressure on that level, then for sure I have to follow up on site, and this later on the indirect impact is coming. So there is no generic answer, and this is really the problematic, and that's also the reason why we are not active in all segments. Container tracking. So I would love to offer a container tracking solution that can be used around the world. We know millions of containers. And believe me, there are a lot of companies that have developed container tracking solutions. And why are not these big MSCs of the world are using them? The technology is so silo-wise. You have the complexity, even think about from where the container is being picked. There's also a storage area. Is always the one from MSC on top? No. Maybe this on the ground floor. But for this job, even MSC is taking the one from the competitor. Why? Because at the end of the year, they're doing cross-financing. So if only my containers are tracked, then this is useless. So I can, even the technology for this vertical is highly complex, is really complex. Because with technology you can do everything, yes, but in that case the device is a container. So the technology have to follow the life cycle of a container. So a normal container, the container lifetime for the first market, where the MSCs of the world are controlling it, is 5 years. After 5 years, the container is being sold to the second market. So that means my device has to be installed one time and must work for 5 years. That's the case around my container. Now the problem, as Juergen was saying, I have the position on the truck, I have it somewhere in the harbor, and I have it on the ship. So now the technology for the gateway is highly complex. I can use GSM from the technology, if we're talking about technology, of course, because GSM is more or less working in every country. But on ship, useless. So I need already a concept with GSM and near-field communication. Why? Because on the ship, maybe there's a centralized gateway that is collecting near-field, and then from there the satellite. Okay, bill of material for that case is already growing up because I have 2 radio technologies. Or I'm saying this container is only encrypted with GSM, this is only with NFC, will not work because, as I said, pickup service, and they're even not looking what kind of gateway is connected to it. So you see the complexity is so specific. Technology can do a lot of things, but it's very often not mapping to processes, to operational processes, cost plannings, and partially competitors. Because it's not always coming on the MSC gate container ship. It's also maybe the next time on another ship from a competitor. So we can give you an example how the container market is now trying to bypass this problem. The top 4, they are now building a consortium, a holding, only for container tracking. So whenever they are now placing a gateway on one of their container ships, then it's shared infrastructure from the holding idea. If there are gateways on harbor side, then they are also coming from that holding and not anymore from the harbor organization. Or the harbor organization can also go to this consortium. So you see, first politic, and then technology can follow. Technology was already from the beginning on there. So to develop a device that has a battery lifetime of 5 years, and the use case is only 1 parameter, no 2, battery status and position, that's not the big deal. The rest was the problem. And if this will fly or not, if at least 2 or 3 of the top 5 are not there, or 6, then it will also not work. So a lot of things that are really bringing complexity in the calculation, what kind of solution I want to develop for a market. This is even international market where I at least can also get good margins. Now think about whatever on international level is developed and is maybe already working since years, so stable. How to use this here in India? Who wants to pay this stable gateway here? There the complexity is starting. This was also the complexity for us for Unlimit when we have set it up the company. What kind of elements do we need on this? You remember the line of elements from connectivity to upper data service? Which are the partner that we should onboard? And out of their portfolio, what elements? Because also here for the Indian market, we had this briefly discussion before we came in here. Regulation, as I said, is changing now. And the problematic is the regulator is not so deep into the topics. Partially they're coming really absolutely nonsense regulations now coming. That if we are not able to change them, then there are some solutions that are then in that moment end of life. For sure that was not the intention of the regulator, but there's complexity behind. So for us it was then clear when we started, okay, this managed SIM connectivity, if we are offering this to the market, then for sure we need a complete installation here in India. Because first of all, it's telecommunication, and telecommunication was already per law, local installations. During that time, there was no regulation for IoT SIMs. So everyone is or knows the KYC process around your mobile phone. Again, I'm only talking about the SIM card out of this long list. So KYC process today, personal signature per SIM and this authentication call. This is the framework around we were starting of our design of an IoT SIM. Nonsense, cannot work, it's impossible. So if someone is producing 1,000 gateways, 1,000 times the form sheet, and whom I'm calling, the device, will also not work. So at least we were then also using other definitions. We said, okay, then we will adapt the B2B part of the KYC, which is then already simpler, because then I'm ordering 1,000, then there's also one form sheet only. And the one who is then signing it, and not anymore the user, will be called for authentication. You see, also during that phase, we were already forced to look how to adapt a non-regulation to this new opportunity in plugging in technology that we have to offer. Now regulation is starting on IoT, and around the IoT SIM cards, the first regulations are coming now up. Good option as an example, we can now use voice on IoT SIM cards. Only point to point, so maybe from the car to a service center, but this is exactly what I need. I do not need point to multi-point. Not in IoT. There's the device or the car has to call a service center or vice versa, not more. So automotive sector, international cars, they have the emergency button or the concierge button. Now they can use that. Before it was not allowed. So do you really believe that a BMW would disassemble here from the touch screens the switches? Only to import the cars here to India? Ever. Yeah? So now we have the positive part, we can now use voice for service. Negative impact, regulation means we can only use 2 IP addresses as destination addresses. That means my application can only talk to one server. I'm losing already 1 IP address for the DNS server. Nonsense. So the story is we have here also to guide the regulation team. First of all, we have to understand where is your idea of limiting on IP address level the regulation. It's nonsense. Also then there were one where saying, okay, private APNs and so on and so forth. So all elements on the level of a network operator were affected from this regulation. And the consequence would only be higher costs. Plus, I'm limiting my functions on my IoT solution. In worst case, I can even not use my solution anymore. Why? Because I have a cloud application, and I'm using there already different IP addresses for load balancers or whatever. So then it's not allowed anymore. And even 2 IP addresses also in private networks. Come on, for what private networks are there? So our job is, and here is also a point that for us as Unlimit, it's really also a benefit, because we are in all elements of the IoT value chain. I have the finger. So that means we know how the network is designed and what challenges are behind and how IoT is using GSM networks. We are on the next layer, which is then the application or the device layer, and then the application layer, and also later on with the data. So for us, that's also a reason why we have in daily a team that is talking more or less on daily basis to the regulation team. Whenever regulation ideas are coming up, our team members are also in these meetings, at least to try to organize the new regulations that are needed for sure, but already in a way that is protecting maybe the Indian market, yes, fair enough, but not making any kind of technology or security related rules that are really limiting me in my portfolio. Or at least in worst case, I have to build up and hire bomb, and the consequence would be no one afterwards will buy it. Because everyone has then in mind, oh, in the past the price was here, now it's here, why? And regulation hopefully will understand that. At the moment it's a little bit challenging because a huge demand is coming from the market because you saw the numbers, and they have to hurry up, speed up on their side also. The good news is, so far in general, there were no major mistakes that are coming from the regulation team. At least not for us. For others, yes, definitely. There is also one thing, and this is also important for you. So the data ownership. is also going to be regulated. And the owner, per definition so far, will be the M2MSP, the M2M service provider, moi, Unlimit. As long as I'm developing my solution, you remember we have connectivity only, we have a cloud platform to build solutions, and we have also our own solutions. As long as I'm selling my own solutions, the data are with me. If I'm selling only the cloud part, then my idea is that someone else is developing a solution on top of that. According to that regulation, also his idea, his product, and he will sell it as an application service provider. Sorry to say, my friend, these are not your data. It's my data. Or you have also to apply for an M2MSP license. For sure, someone that is maybe coming from smart pumps will go for an M2MSP license. And here is really the point where also for the big data which is coming, the complexity is. It's not what kind of cloud architecture I need at the end of the day. Right now, regulation is also here on the way to define first rules. And if they're doing it the wrong way, then there is no benefit for anyone. And that is really then also a challenge for existing solution. Worst case, if they're launching this program, Skype will be switched off because Microsoft Skype has no presence here in India. They have also no server here in India. A good example. So I have selected today, out of this long range from IoT, the automotive sector only. Even the sector only is more than enough. Well, good. So this is the structure. What I want to show you. So some words in general about the automotive sector. And most of the points Juergen was already covering. Then what elements are needed? Also here partner, because again, especially in automotive sector, someone who's saying I am able to deliver everything cannot be. Connected cars 2.0 sounds a little bit strange, but in the Indian context, I will show you what does it mean. Yeah, and also the point private security, good example. And the hack was really, really good. Was really good. I will show you. And just a question then: Can we also show them a video that is coming from the internet?
We can show the video, audio comes.
Audio, not? Oh, I can explain. Yeah. Because one of the slides has an YouTube link, where I want to show a short video.
Yeah, then we can show.
Yeah.
If
Okay.
audio is not a problem, then we can do it.
Yeah, I can explain what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't have to go through all the details because we talked already about that kind of things. And in general, you have to differentiate between the pure import cars and cars that are really manufactured here or produced here. This is the big difference. So all the cars that are imported, like the BMWs or Audi or whatever, in the context of connected car, they're offline. The first connected car programs that you see here are coming really from local cars. Even if a company like Nissan, they're producing here, and also for the here produced cars, they have a solution that they're even now adapting for the international cars. Besides, of course, everyone wants to come to India. After China is definitely the next markets for the global OEMs. The interesting thing between China and India Of course, China is already some years ahead. And also in China, everyone knows from you, the trend is now also changing to e-vehicle. So that means every 10th car must be an e-car already, if I'm selling there. So this is, and you should look. There's a new company founded in China for a new car, for a new pure e-vehicle that, like Tesla, is designed for the international market, and that's exactly the next generation of car. So they have a big display, which is going to complete dashboard size. It has outside camera and radar system, so even for autonomous driving. And the design is for the international market, so they're even not focusing only on the Chinese market. They're so convinced that this concept is working, and also the part that Juergen was mentioning at the beginning, for his kids, they don't want to own anymore a car. Exactly, also this is already covered by this company. You can create your own profile on their cloud, your own user profile. So whenever you're only stepping into this car, the car has video, picture analytic, so the car is detecting your face and mapping your profile to the car. If it's your own or not, doesn't matter. That means even the Bluetooth pairing informations are forwarded to the car. So that means when you're coming to this shared car idea, everyone knows if you're going into a new car, if you're renting a car, it takes time for the pairing, then looking for your infotainment informations, how this navigation system is working. Full stop on that concept. So the cloud knows you, and if this is enabled in that car, the cloud will configure the car. And with this concept, the shared car concept will work. Everything else, because I will wait 5 or 10 minutes for my car, like here in Ola or Uber. But then already, doing all this pairing, and before it is my car, takes too long. So this idea of sharing is not working. They have a concept for that. It's really, really interesting. So I will look. I can share with you the information. They have developed now the first prototype series. They're in the second founding round, and they collected a lot of money. Even they stopped because they had enough. So this idea, and it's really from the design, it's also really not Tesla as an own style, but also this is an international design that they're using. It's really, and with this cloud-enabled connectivity in a car, you can also think about this share options. And even if it's only between the family members. So next time, my car, I'm giving it to my brother, known, and then at that moment the profile is changing. And this is really the next generation for sure. So total numbers, we discussed already. Oops, one too much. This year is an interesting market, only from the pure numbers. I mean, everyone knows how many two-wheelers we have here on the street. Also here, again, technology is not the problem to bring them online. Pricing, nothing else. So even here, when especially the lower segment, I don't know, 100 cubic centimeter upwards, there you have the most two-wheelers on the street. So now how to get them online, how to get them smart. If you see the price for a two-wheeler from that segment, an M2M device or a telemetry device can only be too expensive, only from the pure hardware BOM. Why? Because I cannot use already consumer grade. At least I need industrial grade elements in this device, because outside conditions. the housing must be water resistant, and so on and so forth. So the price for sure is a challenge. From that logic, you could even immediately say this is not an M2M target market or IoT target market. Even if I have the high numbers there, cannot be. Now think about, what do I collect there? What kind of information? Position, speed, street conditions, I can also measure if I want. I know how the driver is driving. Maybe I do not know every time who's driving, but at least how the profile is. So I'm getting already a lot of information. Plus also maybe the status of the vehicle. If it has already a CAN bus on board or not, at least I can see if the battery is okay. So I have already a lot of information that I can collect. Now the idea is, and this is exactly then the important part for you, who should be interested in that data? It's not only the two-wheeler OEM, maybe others also. Insurance, and even much more. So the idea could be, especially for this market, you have to use big data or data lake to enable even the segment. Why? Maybe I can find business partner that are paying data, and with this amount I can cross-finance my hardware. So if I know that the main dealerships are always in front of a McDonald's or whatever it is, maybe they're then interested. Why? Because my idea would be bring this two-wheeler to service with a coupon system from the restaurant side, which is on vis-a-vis of the other street. So if they're coming with the coupon system, maybe then I have already a case that is somehow discounting me a little bit the hardware. So, and this is a way how you have now to think. If an interesting market is from the pure BOM out of range, just think about what to do with data. And this is then for this market for sure the first touch point where even a so far closed one could be enabled. And in context of UBI, I will show you UBI. This is something else. We should not talk too much in front of it. So this slide is we have more or less covered already. Here, this will be really interesting to see how the e-vehicle market will be at least regulated from the government. We can see in China that a really intelligent regulation is really supporting and accelerating a new market. And best thing would be that they are more or less doing a paste and copy of that what the China government has done there. So here in automotive sector, sounds a little bit strange, but for us, you have always to see where this slide is coming from. We are a not automotive specific company. We are offering a wide range of elements. Normally it should be other way around, consulting. Due to the fact that we are starting from connectivity. It sounds strange, but it's always starting from that layer on. And this is also something that I'm telling also our salespersons every time when someone new is coming on board. In that moment, if an IoT solution is already developed by someone and someone is only asking for connectivity, in that case an M2M SIM card, if you ask the right questions, do the right screening, because your intention is to offer him the best tariff pricing, then I know 100% of this customer. Why? Because I have to understand the device life cycle. So, because then I can create the best tariff for it. And then I got also to hear, where is his pressure point? Is it in operation? Is it during production? where are his pain points? So, and it's not only to optimize then the SIM pricing or the tariff pricing for that. No, we have in our portfolio also other things. So in that moment, when I'm screening a customer with an existing solution around the tariff, then I know already what else I can place there. And this someone really has to understand, because the beauty of IoT is the layers are always the same. So he cannot, it's not impossible that he has developed something else. No? So it is a technology problem or is an operational problem. And this I got aware by scanning him via the tariff. And this is done very often also in the automotive sector. It was for us always the entry door. I mean, come on, we are 2 years old, and after half a year, we signed our first automotive OEM with connectivity. In Europe, you have to go 10 years playing golf before they're even letting you on the ground the first time. So due to the fact that we have also 4.0 in the portfolio, we are talking here in India to the local production companies, not to the import. Import also, yes, but mainly to the local production. That means there is also for me, via consulting, an opportunity for 4.0. And 4.0 in that environment is exactly the layer where you are. We are not the companies that are making a sensor smart. We are not the ones who are drilling holes into walls to place a sensor that we can make smart. We are starting at the moment Industry 4.0 from the data point onwards. And there is still a lot of things to do. If there are PLC controllers, yeah, maybe the company who was designing this machine, they have something in their portfolio. But what we are right now doing is on an soldering and SMT production line, predictive maintenance. And believe me, this is, the machines are coming from a global operator, a global company, but exactly this point they are not covering. Why? Because it's specific to the use case, how a local producing company is using them. So what we are now doing is we are really collecting all informations that are available around the heads of the part placing machines. So the resistors that are being placed on the PCB, the condensator. So these heads, they have fail times. And it's starting with that there's partially dropping elements. So detecting out of the existing data with a predictive model, what could happen. So, and this is a good example of how 4.0 also can be used. It's not only the big line of I'm ordering my individual car, and really my individual car is then leaving the production. I mean, there, this just on the side note, there we have done a cool project in Deutsche Telekom. Industrial silvering machines. Connecting them at least sounds clear, because also here I want to see what their hardware status is. And the expensive machines are also coming from Europe. They are being used here very often in the Asian Pacific area. So to send over expensive technicians, it's always a story, service optimization. Also maybe programming new nail programs. It's also complex for the people on site, can be much faster done from Europe, from the vendor itself. This was my thinking before I went there. Oh, makes sense, no? Bring them online. The story was totally different, totally different. Two things. One point was 4.0, and the other one was business model. 4.0 was really the individual seat, the leather seat. I want my logo in there, or a special emblem. No one on site can do the programming for that. For the machine is nothing. So exactly, they are doing that now in Germany, sending over the program, and the machine is then really stepping in the leather exactly that what I want. This is pure 4.0 because this leather for that seat is being ordered in the context of 4.0. This was surprising to hear that it's already on that level. But the other thing, the more important one, that was something else. The production plans, they are changing, no, the OEMs were forcing the production plans to change the payment models. Not anymore per seat or per dashboard or per airbag, per kilometer. They are now ordering leather quality ABC and nail steps on kilometer counted. So they can say whatever kind of car I want to give into the order, it's part of this kilometer set that you have already offered me. So how is now the production plant able to count kilometers? If they have not a smart machine, never ever. So the interesting thing was, an end customer, the OEM, was forcing the production in front of him, a 4.0 partner, to change his technology, and the participant was the one who is producing the machines. Even he was not creating the demand. Interesting case. We covered that already. UBI. UBI for sure is a good example where we can see the first time data usage. In the international context, it is already there. Here in the Indian context, there's only one insurance company, the Allianz, but this is more or less a program. It's a paste and copy from the global program. Copy of a global program. Yes, I see the smile, you understand. That's the reason why they're so successful. So the benefit also here from the data collecting and what to do with the data on theoretical level is clear for everyone. It's like with my transformer monitoring. It's clear for everyone why it is not there. Whenever something is not there, then you really have to be careful and you have to think about that. These are for sure the points that I can measure. That's exactly what is being measured. And out of that, somehow I can create also a data model. What does it now mean for the insurance company in the Indian context? I mean, everyone knows what he's paying for his insurance company for the car. So now tell me how this device, how the connectivity and the cloud server can be paid off for a discount of, I don't know, 10 or 15% on the existing tariff? Tough. Why tough? We can start really with the device. So all these informations are coming, first of all, also in the case of Allianz, from the device, not from the car. Because I have here a challenge right now. What kind of device I'm placing now? To be agnostic, it must be an offline device. I mean a device that is not talking to the car, but at least I need the 12 volt. So the common interface for that is this OBD adapter, data adapter, but not talking to the not only taking the power. So it's then clear that I have to use this dongle then. And that means then also that this dongle has to provide all this parameter, not the car. So I need an intelligent programming already on that dongle, which is not a classical case of such a dongle. So I need already a special firmware on that. The points that we are measuring here, also mid-class car is already also measuring. That's a nonsense. This is also an example what Juergen was saying. So I have already the data in the car, but due to the fact that I have to be neutral from my application service provider standpoint, I'm placing now the next device that is doing the same. We are collecting this information. How such a solution looks like today. The problematic, as I said already, is starting here. What kind of device, what kind of communication scenario do I have? How stable is my communication? What are the costs to it? I mean, you have different options here to collect data. I mean, one thing is that you are streaming data. So whenever something around the car is happening, I'm streaming. Or do I collect a complete trip? And when the trip is ending, bulk upload? Both have pros and cons. But if you take the Allianz version, they're coming from a stable network design a la Europe. And here we have what we have. Around the next corner, maybe the next operator. If I have a SIM card that can roam. So even on that level, if I have decided for bulk upload or for streaming, maybe the local conditions are already challenging me in operation. This is then one point. The next point is if it's this OBD dongle, the logistic behind. I have to send it out, and the driver has to plug it in. And here's really the point, an insurance company, and this is the beauty, this is around the world always the same, they are not coming from hardware. No, they're also not coming from that kind of operation support. So whatever they're onboarding already in a context of UBI to enable themselves to discount even existing tariffs, it's 100% against that what they have already onboarded. So the challenge is really how to keep this up and running. If this is not running, then the case is not flying. Okay, you can say if the device is not online, then there is no discount. No? So you as the insured one, you have then to pay the full, but my device is outside there. Yeah? And worst case, how do I get it back? If it's already coming to that level. So the challenge is really what kind of device, what kind of device concept. I can also say I'm taking a dongle that is talking to the car. Why doubling everything? But then I need a list. This dongle is interoperable with card type A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And if it's not, what then? So solution design is really starting here from the complexity. And the elements that you need in the cloud to operate that, it's really, really tricky. Because you have first of all to terminate all the devices. You need a really good device management. If this is not there, the operational part will really get problems, for sure, definitely. We talked about the maps, a good example. UBI lives, well, the case of programming UBI is living from the quality of the map. And I will show you why. And of course, all the interfaces that I need around my solution, from the backend side and also from the customer side. I mean, there should be an app that is really showing the customer permanent, what is your actual savings? That's the reason why I'm doing that. That's the reason why you need that app. So this is something that for sure an insurance company cannot develop. Now we are coming to the point there are IoT experts that can develop that, but they have no idea about the conditions in the insurance market. So they're, worst case, they're developing something that can be afterwards not being used because we are not matching the bill of materials story. So what the good thing is, and Juergen was also telling that in the Reliance group, we have a lot of companies. We'll also come to the entertainment or infotainment part. I mean, we have Reliance Entertainment. It's the best thing that could happen to me that this company is responsible for our media content. We as an IoT development company, do you really believe that we can handle negotiations around media content? Never ever. And we will never be there. So, and this is a good example how partner ecosystem is working. Good, in that case I have it even in-house, it's even better. But otherwise, no way. No one from us knows how to deal with these people. And here, this is the same already here, starting from the device level. What kind of device? I mean, somehow I need an automotive-grade device. Is it Unlimit that can create, according to all automotive specs, and the needed device if we are 2 years old? Then it's better to qualify a partner, cross-checking the references that he's using. This is much simpler and more effective. And these are the typical data sets that we are getting in from a MuBI solution. Even the list is longer, but we have a trip ID, we have the device IDs, of course we have the location, speed, and so on and so forth. So the data sets, the list is a little bit longer, of course. The data set is quite easy, quite simple, and it's always the same. It's always the same. And the good thing is, harsh acceleration is being measured by a sensor. I can do that with streaming, data streaming, and then I do the calculation in the cloud, but then I need really a good connection. Because then I can only detect, was this only a GPS jump, or was really the car accelerating so fast? It's cheaper and much more accurate if I'm asking the acceleration sensor and collecting his information. Yes, from the BOM, I don't know, 50 euro cent more or dollar cent, but this is accurate. And it's saving me a lot of costs on the data tariff and on the back-end calculation. So this is a good example how to do the calculation from where to get the data. Or I'm planning a device that is talking to the car, then I get this information even from the car. The complexity in programming such a solution is, again, it's first of all how this data are generated on device, on car level. Then hopefully they're coming on block or in stream or whatever. But now my map story is starting. So somewhere I have to do calculation on a chip. And the truth around GPS is you have variance. And it could be 10 meters or it could be 50 meters. For us, if we are using our mobile to where is my shop or where to go, this is good enough, this 10, 20 meters. But if I want to do this kind of things here, then it's tricky. Why? Because I have permanent data points that are outside of my trip direction. So the complexity of the algorithm for the map mapping is I have to detect the direction that I'm driving. In general, I have so many data points that are already pointing to this street. So whatever is falling next to it will be automatically corrected. That's really a tricky thing to program that. And there also the main differentiation between the platforms, a good example, is coming from. If you want to do the programming completely by yourself, or is it part already of a module that you bought with the platform, this is really then the level where the difference in the quality of a platform is coming. The tricky thing is, as I said, we have different ways to do that. But one thing for sure is clear, UBI is being counted around a trip. So, and if I'm doing this around a trip, then I have a start point, I have an end point, and I have my mapping to the map. At the end of the day, in the context of a connected vehicle, you could also say, vehicle tracking solution? Yes, UBI in that context is nothing else than a vehicle tracking fleet management solution. Point. So what does it now mean for me from the product management point of view? It makes sense to develop a fleet management solution, and only one sub-function out of that is UBI. So multi-use of platform by only changing the front end. So the back end, to do this kind of calculations, remember the map. This I need in fleet, in vehicle tracking, and even in asset tracking. I need it everywhere. But the intelligence is how to design this solution that this is working. And of course, then it's also clear, much more clear, what are the points of start and end. Then I can say, I'm taking the ignition from the car, or I'm using only the accelerator sensor. Then it's only the question, the inbuilt one or the from the car. Because if I have a movement on the sensor and I measure a peak on the 12 volt, bop, then I know start. And the same is also, there is no movement anymore, GPS is standing still, or even not, maybe because it's under a tree, the car. But for sure there was another 12 volt peak. No acceleration, 12 volt peak, then I can also say this is an end trip. And then I have at least from that logic, I have a start and an end point. These are the parameters that more or less every UBI solution is using. Some of them are calculated, some of them I can read from a sensor. And this really depends on my solution design. The good thing is, as I said already, these data are, in the modern cars, every car is also collecting it. We'll come to the other part of telemetry, automotive telemetry solution. The automotive OEM is collecting all of them. Whenever you have a connected car, if even the ones that are now coming here from the Indian market or in the global context, the OEM is forwarding all this information also to his backend. That means, thinking about my UBI case, coming back to the design of the platform, I want to be the data broker. This is now my target as Unlimit. That means I have now the challenge. I need my solution platform. I need 2 device versions, an offline device and a device that is talking to a car. And to be the company that is the interface to the insurance companies, then I need also a back-end interface towards the OEMs to read their data. So this is for me the first touch point where I have a concrete case of being a data broker. Because as I said, and Nissan, as an example, is collecting these informations. They will never do an IT integration to each and every insurance company. Never, ever. This is only from that point. Doesn't make sense.
Are these analytics or data collected is with respect to the car or is it with respect to the driver? Because the car can be driven by multiple people.
This is neutral. This is neutral. So I'm only collecting the value around a start and an end point. In worst case, I even do not know who was driving. It could be that I'm signing an insurance for me. My son is driving permanent because it's even his car. But then the logic should be that this is also somewhere mentioned in the contract. Otherwise, I need more technology. Because I can get who's driving because I can read the mobile. Because the mobile is then using the app, and via the app backend, I can map that back to the car. This is solution design. But the parameter will be collected from my device or from the car. If the car, then the OEM has it also. So, and the interesting thing is, due to our consulting part, we are right now exactly on that level to talk to these companies. even they spent already effort in calculating the driver score. So they have now also in their platform the algorithm to collect to calculate a score. What a nonsense! Why should the OEM calculate that when they already know they will never do all these IT integrations? My layer is the one who should do the score calculation, because I'm sourcing the raw data and I'm dealing with insurance A and insurance B. Maybe one insurance is having higher rating on this one than on that one. So it could be in insurance individual how my split of the 100% is being calculated. So what does it mean for the OEM? Will he do that in his platform also? Never ever. And here you can see that an industrial sector like automotive was designing something because it sounds logical to do that. Totally not usable. Why? Because they never had any deeper discussions with possible customers. And this is the insurance. Why? Because automotive is not talking to insurance. Here in the Indian context is a little bit different because Maruti is a good example. They have in-house insurance and so on and so forth. But that's not always there. So, and then there's also a clear formula, and of course depends on the events that I'm collecting during the trip, map to my formula. I will get then also the ranking. This is a typical graphical sheet that we have created here for our insurance company from Reliance. Then you can see then really around different parameters how efficient the driver was driving. And this is then exactly the part where the app is then also coming into the picture. At the end of the day, I need end customer interaction. Otherwise, I will not keep him in the insurance program. 10%, of course, everyone wants to save money, but it's like always with new technology. Maybe the first 2 weeks, it's somehow interested, and then forget it. So I have to bring him back. And the app exactly is the medium. So if I'm now also giving on top the driver additional informations, so if my concept is saying I am using an active device, but the parameters are maybe only coming from my device, so then the question for what is an active device good for? To keep the customer in the program. Sounds a little bit tricky. The idea behind is the dongle can read error codes from the engine controller. And everyone knows from us on the dashboard, the engine LED is on. Everyone wants to know why. And there's an error code. And this error code on the CAN bus, each number is a norm behind, so it's clear what this is about. So I read the 12 volt, that means I know that my battery is good, and if a lamp is going on, then I even know which error code is behind. And this is exactly how to keep the interaction with the user up. And then I can also push information. Maybe even he's not looking on the app, but we know that there's an error code from the car. Push, and then he's coming back to my app. My app means my insurance case. Oh, my good insurance company. This is how it's working.
Sorry, this is not a question per se, more just a comment add on to what you're saying. I have some familiarity with this kind of program from an end user's perspective. So when I was in the US in 2010, I used to have car insurance with a company called Progressive. And they had offered this device that you plug into the OBD to I used to have a Volkswagen Jetta at that point in time. So I just plugged it into my car. They give you a flat X dollars off your insurance, plus an additional incremental amount based on how well you drive.
Yeah.
So I had that thing going on for 2 I didn't have any kind of dashboard to really explain why my insurance premium is fluctuating. So month on month it used to change, but I didn't really exactly have proper insights as to why. So I completely understand the objective behind giving this kind of dashboard to the user to keep him engaged in the program.
So the newer platform's looking a little bit different in the meantime. So it's not only the app, because the first time activation you have to done through the dashboard. So and the dashboard in the meantime is designed the normal fancy way with interactive widgets. So one is of course one widget for the actual commercials, and on each page where you're clicking one widget, your actual savings, clicking on that, and then you see how this is coming together, the 10% as an example. At the moment, and if in a country like India, this program is starting, then there is not enough database. That's really the biggest problem at the moment. In countries like US, UK, or Italy, there it's a little bit different. These markets are already since years into it. And the insurance companies, they are even going now to the next level where they need exactly the data scientists. Because they are analyzing now really your driver profile, not the score, your profile. So what is your daily trip to work? What road are you using? Mapping with the information, what kind of road are you using? The small side roads or main road, the well-maintained or the critical ones. So even on that level, they are now starting to calculate your code, and they also want to give this as an information for you. Please maybe in the future use other routes, because then it has some benefit for you at the end for the pricing. So, and these models are right now starting in Europe. This is really, I know it only from Europe, not from the US, because they've started at the same time. But this is exactly why insurance companies now want to do that in the future. And the next logic is, coming back here to the Indian market, 10% savings. Of course, at the moment, for an ANG, you can only lower pricing. The consequence in the future would be different. If you're not online, you get only an insurance that is more expensive. So they're changing the model. So that means the now 100% will be 100%, not anymore discounted, but if you're not online, then you have to pay more. So, but for an ANG, then you can only come from where you are at the moment, and this means discounting something. But this will change. There will be then slowly, there will be then the swap, where then the old 100% are again than the new 100, and whoever is not online will be higher rated.
Right, but that can happen only once the user base is grown.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So, and if you now think about this intelligent data usage in the back end, that you're really doing an analytic screening, really down to how you are driving, where you are driving, when you are driving, then this is really also really efficient for the insurance, because if these data models are really fitting, then they are 100% clear with their calculations, even in advanced. Then they only have to know how many people are insured and what kind of cars do we, or price ranges do we see. And then it's totally clear how to calculate the rest. The next point is also, what is also coming to this program, not to UBI, but as part of this big data insurance part of it, is claimings. In Europe, is it partially already on that you can use your app, you're taking pictures, you're uploading the pictures, and the picture analytic is detecting what is being crashed and what is the pricing for the repair. So on first indication can be 100% created out of the back end without sending someone, or that you have to visit a dealer. So this is also then the next benefit. That means the insurance company knows much earlier what was happening, because normally you're going to the dealership, then they're doing the repair, and afterwards they're getting the report. Now they know even before something is happening, what is the reality. So if you're then also this information mapping this to your driver profile, and then it's getting finer and finer and finer. And this is exactly what right now in Europe is already happening. It's a really interesting trend. Scary partially, but we talked more or less about everything. Infotainment, I mean, we should not spend so much time on that because at the end of the day it's already clear what you will get, that if you have really a fully connected car, then really the target for you should be that it's really plugging into your daily life. So, I mean, I do not need Netflix on the screen when the screen is even switched off when the car is driving, because it's regulation. That's not the story. But these kind of things, the profile that I was mentioning for the e-vehicle, this is for me part of the infotainment unit. So the infotainment unit in the future will become the remote PC that is really the edge element to the connected vehicle cloud. Interesting thing is, if you have platform elements in your portfolio, you always have to look, I mentioned that already, how to use these platforms for different cases. So now I have a fleet management platform that can cover asset tracking, fleet management, trip management / UBI. How to use this also maybe for the infotainment platform. What kind of infotainment context and content I want to push to the car. So this is from the design point of view really complex, because it's really not fitting together. Because this is also then, we will come then, that's exactly the point. This is where we are today in India, this part here. Maybe forget the 2G, but for cost reasons, 2G is here at the moment selected in India. So all the pure telematic services are being used today. And that moment when I want to talk about infotainment and broadband services, I have to swap to 4G. No way around. I need the bandwidth. I mean, this is broadband to the vehicle, nothing else. And this is at the moment, to be honest, a real challenge for the Indian market. So all OEMs that are working on a connected vehicle solution, all of them started with 2G devices, 2 or 3G device. This combination is from the BOM quite cheap. Now we saw last year how to say friendly, a Reliance family member coming to the market and destroying more or less the complete 2G alternative carriers. So Arcom is not there anymore, Aircell, so the big brands that are mainly standing for 2G connectivity, they were being gone. With Arcom, they had all 4 technologies, that's not the point, but the main 2G carriers, end of life. So, and the truth is also to the consolidation idea, Voda, yes, a new giant is being born. Do you really believe that if a 2G base station is going out of service, that they're doing a maintenance on that? Everyone knows that a 2G customer, a 2G subscription is financial-wise negative. It is negative now in this market. And with IoT, the pricing for connectivity is even much lower than for the normal mobile phones. So that means they are now starting with a service that partially from the coverage perspective, maybe in some region they have problems now. But to do in step to another technology, and in context of now more automotive, we will come to the point when we're going to the architecture of a car. This is really a challenging thing, because the architecture in a car between this one and this one is totally different. So, and this is really a huge development step that they have to do. So now, Indian situation, no one could see what was real in advance, what will happen to the local carriers. So to start with the idea to here 2G, 3G, when even 4G bandwidth is not needed, is a logic. But now they are more or less coming to that dilemma that 3G is already off. That means the coverage of 3G is not there anymore. Bandwidth is not the problem here. This is a typical 2G application. These few parameters that are flying around, you saw what we are collecting around UBI. This is nothing, easily. So in the infotainment, of course, we have different challenges. So the complete system, the complete ecosystem is even much more complex than in telemetry only. Juergen was using also one word that we are also offering a CRM system for automotives. Why a CRM system for automotive? I mean, they are selling already cars, so they should have a CRM. Yes, they have a CRM around their one-time payments. That means they are selling a car, goodbye customer, hopefully he's coming back for service, but this will be handled on dealership side. So if I'm talking here about additional services, and this is on one hand the beauty, now I'm interacting with the end customer. This is now my challenge, because I have no infrastructure to interact with my customer. Simple thing, even here, if he wants to, his Wi-Fi subscription would end. How can we pay for the next one? A classical OEM has no online payment portal. So yes, you can buy, you can do it, but there is also no CRM that is connected to it, because if your subscription for Wi-Fi is ending, the CRM has to enable it afterwards in the car. So a lot of complexity is behind that. And again, we are still talking the dilemma from here to here, because going now to 4G only to do this here, this is nonsense. This is again a bomb disaster. Okay. So the complexity where we also are trying to fix this during this year is also there is no regulation at the moment, to be honest, for this infotainment systems. You could say why for infotainment regulation? There is Wi-Fi in the car. And the regulator is saying this is a telecommunication service. So he is using at the moment the definition of public Wi-Fi hotspot to handle Wi-Fi in car. Nonsense, but there is nothing else. So this is this typical gray zone. I can do an interpretation that way or that way. I can say it is private because only my family is using it. Or I can say, like the regulator, it is public because it's directly from the car to the internet. It's at the moment a challenging situation. Plus the point, we are talking here about a shared infrastructure. We have only one gateway that is talking to the back end or talking to the internet. There's only one SIM card in there, not two SIM cards. So now think about from regulation point of view, how to deal with that. Public Wi-Fi and the definition of public Wi-Fi on a shared SIM card. How is this possible? It's even not there. And these are really all the details that the OEMs at the moment are facing that are really challenging. So I have now 2G. I have a telemetry solution for 2G. And this is more or less the function set around that. So there's no media There is no additional services. I have only one SIM card, one service, fine, and even this is going via VPN to my backend. 100% private, and the only end customer facing part is the mobile app, nothing else. So even there he is a 100% application service provider. In the future, if M2MSP is falling into it, will be interesting how these conversations will go, if they will apply for an M2MSP service license, or if we have to create a lot of legal paperwork between them and us. It's not clear at the moment. So the setup is quite easy. We talked about it's a device. If it's the OEM inbuilt one or ours, doesn't matter. You have then the backend connection somewhere. Also, this service must be handled via a CRM, because the models that the OEMs are at the moment offering is it's a package price. In Nissan, for example, they're giving this service for free, 3 years included. So if you're buying the car, you have 3 years telemetry service for the app included. So it's a prepaid package. So what is now happening when 3 years are over? Extending the license, or there is an OEM, an international one that is coming to the market. He wants to start with Wi-Fi in the car. Clear statement from him. However, we can deal that with the regulator. He wants to do that. Also, he is starting with a prepaid package, X gig included. His calculation, X gig means 1 year. The problem here in the Indian market, no one was offering it so far. So how will it be accepted? I mean, even if I see here in Mumbai, if my kids are on the back seats and I need 1 hour driving, 1 hour is a lot of megabyte. So it's for sure another usage scenario here than maybe in another city. Bangalore is the same, so there's also no traffic going. So you need the same time on the back seat. So that means, is the including volume good enough for 1 year? For sure not. It will be even consumed already much, much earlier. So his idea was, during 1 year, I have also the payment gateways clear and the CRM is extended to it. Worst case, I would say 1 quarter. So if he wants to launch next year in Q2, then Q3, latest, the payment must be up and running. So that means a huge change here. Because as I said, I have to switch off the Wi-Fi in the car. That's the logic from regulation. And also it's also disturbing my network. Because if a device is trying to attach to a service that is from the back end blocked, I'm getting a lot of authentication errors. So if you're not paying for that subscription, there's an error. This costs me money. Oops. So in general, we covered that already. We have different versions. That means form factors, online, offline, or already also up to a level of customer designed could also be.
Is something like cast? So there's something called Google Chrome or Amazon Kindle, so which allows a person to watch TV in their homes using internet. Now, assuming internet is available, should it be possible to cast the content while moving on a car?
Yeah. Yeah, so this is then already in a context of a multimedia platform, a version 2.0. First of all, the OEM is starting with his idea. Wi-Fi is one application, infotainment for sure is the second part. And the problematic with infotainment, what you are mentioning is, therefore I have to use the public Wi-Fi, because I need the transparent internet connection to my Netflix. I have Netflix in my living room. I'm now the kids are going to the car. In the car, Netflix should go on. That means Wi-Fi part, because I'm connecting to the internet. The other thing, the infotainment, this is like what you know already about from...
If I'm able to download, so if the facility is there wherein I'm able to
Yeah, this has nothing to do with infotainment.
And maybe play.
This is offline content. This back end, we are connecting also here media server to media server account. So the OEM media server account, maybe this customer has already a subscription from entertainment, Big TV as an example. So of course I want also the same account available in my car. So that, but this means a back-end authentication integration. And this is then version 2.0 what I'm saying. So downloading something, this is offline content. Then I need only the mechanism of media rights that I can really use the media file. This is a little bit different. And maybe you never saw, these are the typical dongles. This is an expensive one which has even a lot of LEDs. Normally the form factor is this size, half. And these are TCUs. TCUs are really the devices that are inbuilt during production process. So this car has also a GSM module, but it's direct connected to the main data bus, the CAN bus, direct. Or Bluetooth, this is the low-cost version. So that, that a device that is connected here is talking via Bluetooth to your mobile and using your mobile as the gateway to the internet. This is the, who was it? Toyota. The Toyota version that they launched some years ago here in India. This is Bluetooth, nothing else. NB-IoT. So first of all, NB-IoT. The good news is we know the carrier that will support that here. This is Geo. Because they have the infrastructure already in place. Narrowband IoT, per definition, if you compare it 2G, 4G, can only cover the 2G part of the bandwidth. I don't see narrowband IoT in automotive applications, never ever. This has to do with the bandwidth, with the timings in the network. Coverage, okay, here in India we have then the unique situation that the biggest network has the one-by-one coverage then also for narrowband IoT. But so far there are even no devices available on the market with a front end module of narrowband IoT. Then again, my bandwidth can be maximum the 2G level. And very often there are also no tariffs planned on NB-IoT for that data volume. It's 2G, but nevertheless, per day, there's still something between 7 or 8 megabyte. This is not the use case for a narrowband IoT.
Give an example. In Europe, you can see first companies who are offering you for 10 euro. You have to pay upfront 10 euro, and then you can use narrowband 10 years. With a fixed data volume, which is nothing. It's far away of automotive.
The first use case for sure for narrowband IoT is small data volume. Smart meter is a good example. This is really good.
A lot of trials.
Yeah, no, 5G, definitely. 5G is the next evolution step in the connected car. But this is not because I need more bandwidth. No, I need shorter packet run times. Latency. Not between car and cloud, between car to car. So, and even for today, the networks are not designed for car to car. car to car can only go via backend. So the next generation of car to car communication can only be 5G. No? So complexity, as I said, depends really on my use cases. And the Indian market has then here again the price pressure. So the first companies that have launched, they were going with this kind of implementation. So the car inbuilt units. The car inbuilt units so far are coming from the international market. So there are more or less no companies in India that are producing automotive-grade TCUs on 2G. There are some, but the main numbers really, and the cases that we know, that the devices are coming even there from the European market. Why is this possible? Because in the context of Europe, this device is 5 to 6 years old. 2G telematic device. This was the first design, as I said, 6 years minimum back. That means the devices are already in a significant numbers. Lowering the prices, the design, the BOM cost is so priceless, cheap, over the time and over the total amount of devices that even European automotive-grade devices are being used here in India. In the Indian context, to be fair enough, we do not need automotive grade for 2G telematic. Industrial grade, from the quality of the design, is more than enough. Europe, with their automotive highest standard, or US or Japan, they are specifying this kind of things, because even this connector has to have the same lifetime as the car. 10 years. So who cares here in India about this connector in 10 years? Due to the fact, as I said, that the pricing for these devices is so good, we also see them here, but they are 2G only. So more or less, this we covered already. So we have in general two different versions: the online and the offline. The problematic with the online is the complexity of talking to each and every car and the interoperability with all vendors. And this is a typical diagram of a connected car, and even this is not a full-featured one. So everything is today data bus controlled. Everything. So whatever you think this is still manual, no, it's connected to a data bus. Everything. The brakes we know. So ABS systems for sure is a good example where the first time we saw that. Everything. Even the car knows if a lamp is defect or not. So how can they do it? Must be somewhere connected. So a lot of intelligence in there. This we covered already several times. So also for us and others, it's always clear you cannot provide everything. There are some super big ones like the big brand names like Conti. These are really big companies that are also offering, but only for automotive, the complete stack. Not like we for all industries, only for automotive. So version 2.0, as I said, 2.0 is including then the infotainment part. And surprise, surprise, this block diagram is more or less the same, but this one here must be now added. And as I said, payment is a must. Without payment integration, no other services will be allowed. And the problematic is at the moment, as I said, we do not know where regulation is going. So who is the owner of which service? It could be, in worst case, that for the public internet, the car owner has to sign a KYC with an ISP, in worst case. At the moment, our argumentation is, no, I have an authentication mechanism in the car, so it's a private internet access. Good. This we had. This we also covered. So, what are now the benefits around the interaction with the end customer? So we covered that already several times because I learned it's not a love letter. So yeah. So high level. This is the way how we are starting if we are designing an architecture. Really, the highest level. Which building blocks do we have? Only from the solution, not what we have in our portfolio. What in general is there? And if you are then coming down, okay, payments, we have that. So we do not have a payment gateway. We would also source here existing technology from the local market, but we would be the ones who are doing then the integration into the CRM according to the life cycle definition of the OEM. This is CRM. You will get the presentation. That's not the... And this is now maybe then the last thing for today. The security part, what we talked about. So devices, as you know, the devices, they have a lot of different options how to talk to the cloud. Protocols could be totally a proprietary one, or I'm using standard like MQTT. There are always pros and cons when I'm using what. But this is here an hack. This was 2015, where hackers were showing on a hacker congress how they took over the complete control of an Jeep. Maybe we can start the video. The link here should work. It's only 5 minutes or 4 minutes, so I can also then explain. Huh? Oh, sound. Skip. You can skip.
It's not fun to have your 2-ton SUV break just as you're parking in front of it. Okay, hold on, guys. Hold on. That's what I've learned from Charlie Miller and Chris Balasek, a pair of hackers who have spent the last year developing a piece of software that can wirelessly sabotage this 2014 Jeep Cherokee. It hasn't been altered in any way. There are no devices attached to it. But like many thousands of Jeeps around the world, it can be remotely hacked over the internet through a cellular connection to its entertainment system that will allow someone to take over its steering, its transmission, and even its brakes. To demonstrate that, I'm going to access today's crash test dummy and drive it on the highway here in St. Louis, while Charlie and Chris hijack his digital systems from Charlie's house miles away. They wouldn't tell me what they had planned, but they assured me that it wouldn't be anything life-threatening. Remember, Andy, no matter what happens, don't panic. It's not the first time I've driven a car while it's being attacked by these two hackers. But in 2013, they were in the back seat, and their laptops were wired into the vehicle to a 4G track. Now they're sending the same sort of attacks remotely, and I have no idea what they might do. He's going as fast as I can. So first we're going to turn the fan on. Yeah, let's turn the fan on so you even notice it. Alright, something was turned on, all the fans and AC and stuff. I didn't do that. The trick started small. Oh my god. There's a picture of Charlie and Chris in tracksuits that just appeared on the dashboard. But as they drove down the interstate, things started getting unpleasant and very loud. Do it. Kill the engine. So we're killing the engine right now. I stomped on the gas, but the Jeep slowed to a crawl. I turned on my hazard lights, but I was still stuck in the right lane with no shoulder to escape on. like the parents of that radio. It's so loud. Guys, I need the accelerator to work again. The accelerator will work. It won't work! You're doomed. Seriously, it's dangerous. I need to move. Wait, you gotta turn the car off! Okay, now you should be good to go. Alright, I'm gonna pull over because I have PTSD. Charlie and Chris have only tested the full range of their attacks on a Jeep Cherokee. But they say that hundreds of thousands of late model Chrysler vehicles may be vulnerable to a feature called Uconnect, an internet-connected computer in the dashboard known as its head unit. These cars, head units, expose a particular service that probably they didn't want to. It lets you do things like query it for information like your GPS within or else sort of things, but it also lets you just run commands. So you have to first break into the car remotely over the cell network and then move laterally if you want to do things like send CAN messages. And those are the messages that you can use to control things like steering, windshield wipers, or braking. They plan to release a portion of their exploit code during the Black Hat Hacker Conference next month. They've also alerted Chrysler, which is issuing a security patch. But they say a lot more needs to be done to protect a new generation of cars that are increasingly connected to the internet and potentially hackable. You guys basically brought this car to a standstill while it was driving on the highway, which I may never forgive you for. And that was just like an experiment. What do you think is the worst case scenario? We wanted to point out, to show that this attack has serious consequences for this vehicle, and so we did, attack you. But we did it in as safe a way as we could, so we didn't make it hurt. That's why we're working, is to make sure that we figure out vulnerabilities, weaknesses, get them fixed. We're only two guys with one car, right? So, we can't look at every car, and we want to release this information because more people like us need to be focused on this problem. After their stunt on the highway, Chris and Charlie still wanted to show me a couple of other tricks. Below a certain speed, they can control the Jeep steering as long as it's in reverse, pop its locks, mess with the speedometer, and, of course, disable the brakes. Okay, hold on tight. Hold on. He's not getting out of that. We're going to do this. That's how you drive in the Midwest. However you know how to do that.
Impressive, huh? So, I will show you on 3 slides how they but the point is, think about what else can be done. So, not in here in that case. Quite simple thing. So, if I'm able to hack an industrial network, and I have access, as an example, to 100,000 of SIM cards that way, then I can also maybe use them for voting systems, SMS-related voting. So immediately I can influence here things so easily by giving the command to the device, please send SMS yes to number, this typical voting things. And this is quite simple thing. This is really a complex thing. So security, this is how a car looks like. So you remember my picture here? These are all CPU controllers. You have a bus system and so on and so forth in a centralized unit. So a lot of technology is in the car. And if this is not here, so that means the infotainment, oh good, Zoom is working. So the infotainment and internet access, then it's good, because it's a closed system. In that moment, you're opening things. So now, just on these 3 slides, how they have done that. In general, you can see here on that picture that this internet part is already somehow outside of the main car elements. For security reasons, they have done that already. So, but the point was how to get, first of all, into the Wi-Fi system. So normally I'm outside the car, it's even not my car, so how can I do that? Of course, first of all, fair enough, the car must be on, or the Wi-Fi must be on, otherwise I'm also not able to use that. And of course there is this WPA, I need the key, I need the password. So, but the interesting thing at the end of the day was how Jeep has done the default calculation for the password. Big mistake. Huh? So they were not really using a random key from a timer or whatever. They were so stupid to say, we have here a day. So if you're plugging off the battery, good example, and plugging in a battery, then the system is coming always up with its defaults. And due to the fact that this was 2014 launch of the Jeep, this was the day where the battery is jumping back. So the boot up, first boot up is coming with that date. And then the system is counting the seconds, how long it will take until the Wi-Fi is up. These two parameters is giving then the password. This is how they have programmed that. After some additional hacks before, they were able to figure this logic out. That means I only have to know these parameters, and then I know somehow the password. I only have to know it is the car is being used. I don't know. This was 2014. He was saying, no? So 15 or something like that. No? So then it's quite easy. Then you can hack that with each brute force immediately. Herefore you need still some hours. But if you know already so concrete the baseline, then it's even some 100 options. Then I'm in. So they have then hacked the Wi-Fi. So they were in the PC on Wi-Fi level. Then they figured out there's a Linux in there, Linux operation system. And to figure out which Linux it is, which version it is, and which backholes are there, it's also not easy, but if you are a hacker, you know exactly where the points are. So they were able to get really root access to this device. So whatever is around the multimedia device, they could already control. And that means the loudness, changing the logo, and everything around the pure multimedia device. Was not enough. So the next thing was to do this kind of hacks, I have to stand next to the car, because in the Wi-Fi area of the car. So what kind of hack is that? So they were trying to figure out, can I do, like in the video, can I do it from at home? So I have to understand how this part is working, the GSM part. And as you have also telecommunication in your logo here, no? It's possible with this hack, femtocell. I mean, the equipment you can buy from eBay, no? And placing such a cell direct next to the car, for sure the car will swap to that cell and not to the base station. So they could see what the car is doing. And remember, telemetry is always on. So only for battery savings later, after X hours, they are really shutting down, maybe to hour-wise only sending a data packet. But if ignition was on, off, then believe me, the car is still communicating with the backend. So they know already from the multimedia interface what IP address, what is the car identifier. So they could identify it also here on the trace on the GSM. Knowing the operator in US, knowing the IP setup of Jeep in that moment, what else do I need? I know exactly the IP address of that car. And being then in the network, it's a way how this is working from remote. I can identify the car. What we saw is control, taking over control of car elements. They have here no access, they have here access. This one here was so far blocked. There's only one-way communication allowed. That means the steering wheel, you have the multimedia switches. No? Change channel, pick up the Bluetooth, no? the mobile call. So this functions, but these are only reading functions. So if I'm pressing, this information is going to the media unit. There's no writes in that direction. So the target was change the firmware here. And believe it or not, in automotive, there are not so many CAN bus controller that the industry is using. And with some tests, they figured out which version of this controller it is, and then they changed the firmware to be bidirectional. Et voila. So that was the hack. That means they have now from public internet access to all the elements, and then they could do whatever they have shown in the video. So, and they have never spent 1 minute on the cloud side of it. So now think about security concept of an IoT solution. For sure, if they would do it on the cloud side, then they would find next holes. And this is making then really solutions expensive. Coming now back to the point, Indian market switching from 2G to 4G and 4G / including infotainment already. You see now the challenge of the local industry? So even if they want, and maybe even if they see a price model for Indian customers, this is so complex, it's impossible to ramp it up immediately. The only option that you have is really keep it as long as possible really offline, at least the media content. So that means maybe in this device that is talking to the network, maybe here placing the Wi-Fi hotspot, directly mapped here, so that there is even no chance to get into the car. Like an hotspot that is inbuilt in that device, but for nothing else. And this is then also the next challenge. Of course, this device doesn't exist. So we have to develop this device. And we do not know where regulation is going. So the solution design of such additional service on an existing infrastructure is really complex if you want to do it the right way. And here it's a little bit extreme because it's automotive, but in general, think about all other things. The AC, we have the same effect. There were some commercials on TV, the Wi-Fi enabled AC, sitting at the airport, and I can control from the airport. But nevertheless, it was Wi-Fi via DSL. And if I'm hacking there in, then I'm in the house. Whatever else is connected. So these security cases are there. And at the moment, most companies are not really taking care about that. Because cost pressure, the solution must run stable. And then afterwards, I'm taking care about the product optimization and stabilization. Difficult, really difficult. So, and to close this session, because we are also close to, this is a very, very simple hack, but really also a really cool one. I don't know if you know this, cars, but yeah.
Something like in trains, for example.
Hmm?
In trains.
Hmm? Yeah.
So if we have a facility wherein people could watch content which is locally on their devices, and the content is stored and synchronized at each station, for example. So, or a particular stations wherein the content gets uploaded on the server in the train itself. And members have a facility of connecting their mobile devices to that server, and able to stream the content from the inbuilt
media server. Yeah.
So something like this is possible.
This is already there. This is already there. So in the international high-speed trains, this is available. We have it also in the planes. on international flights. You can also connect with your mobile already to the media server. But this is 100% offline content. That means whenever the train, the plane, or whatever is coming to the service station, they're changing the content. So you have only a local media distribution server and no direct streaming to backend server. It's a little bit different. And the next where you will see it here is the Volvo buses. Because that also makes sense. You have a media server on board with local language content because it's starting in that circle and it's ending in that circle. So they will also encrypt in the future the buses with local media content. It will go the same way. Use your mobile device, Wi-Fi attached to the media server, and use it from there. Because over land you have also no 4G. This is something fancy, and I can also do it in this 5 minutes. So these modern cars, then you have this keyless go function. You know that function? So that you're even not using any key anymore to get into the car and to start the car. So you have in the key an NFC chip that is talking to the car. You have then antennas exactly in these ranges. So if you're stepping by, then it's automatically unlocking. If you're in the car, then the car is saying, okay, the driver is in the car or the key owner, everything is good. That's the reason why also this cars you do not need anymore the key for the ignition is only the engine start button. So and some years back, the insurance companies in Europe they were really a little bit scared, and they have also only questions to it. Why a lot of these cars been stolen during shopping or at home, and where the owners were saying, believe me. Yesterday I was parking in front of the house. Morning, gone. No one was getting into the house or breaking the house. So the logic is, as I said, I have NFC here and I have NFC here. So here we have the sender sending, and if this is coming into range, it's answering. So what I have only to do is to build a repeater. That on one hand is also talking NFC, and on the other hand, wide range network or high-speed network, mainly 4G. So what they have done is they have extended the range of this antenna to that point. So and then the showcases there where they have demonstrated it the first time was exactly these use cases. You are parking in an area where you have really expensive restaurants. There you know that a lot of owners are using this kind of cars. One guy was standing next to the car, and the other one with a small bag was following you to the restaurant, was then only sitting next to you on the next table, and the door was opening. And for security reason, the engine cannot be stopped as long as you're really stopping it via the button. Because you're coming then out of range maybe. But it's not allowed from security reason that missing connection to a car is stopping the car. So at least they were good for one ride. And the one ride was exactly to their dealership. So brilliant tech. And this is also working at home, because everyone at home, we are coming, main door, and you're putting all your keys on the first sideboard next to the door. So only you have to stand next to the door to do the same trick. And the car standing in front of the house, gone. Any idea how this is now being solved? Last question for today. Because normally I would say, so you have now here the car, no? No? They have now changed the definition, the NFC definitions here. They are now measuring timing. So what is the response time of the key? Because here, even in 4G, you have 10, 30 milliseconds delay between the responses, and it must be real time. So they have to change the complete key keyless go systems in all cars. No one is doing it, so the insurance companies are still on silent mode, accepting the fact. But this is then the workaround. So it must be the key must answer in real time, then only it will be unlocked. Interesting, right? So simple but interesting. And the equipment you could buy on eBay. Ready to use. So there are some other parts, but you can get the slides, and if you have time or any questions, of course, then you can also get back to us. For today, any questions still? Before we are closing? No? Everything was so clear? Good.
No, how much is the momentum on the smart city?
It's growing fast. It's really growing fast. What we see, again, you can talk about many use cases. What we see is really the automotive industry is growing super, super fast. All of them are implementing it. The same as in the industrial automation we see. And the transport and logistics already is more complex now because the simple tracking was already before. These are the really three top markets. Anything else is like
government-driven projects. Smart meters as an example.
The point in things like smart meters much more how to make money, to be honest.
So this is also a good example of regulation. Fair enough that government is pushing this topics also with clear programs behind, but they are placing already price tags to it, where it's impossible to do that. We know some smart meter vendors that even said, no, not for us. And also here, smart meter, I gave you the example of transformer monitoring. After installation, you have operation. And on a smart meter where I can earn with a SIM card, I don't know, 8 rupee per month, how can I operate that? So
it will influencing our business and private life. I believe you will use it in the future. You will use an IoT without knowing that that IoT is in the back and analytics is in the back. I believe this we all are using in the business and the private life in cars and buses and thousands of areas. Good.
There are a few questions on YouTube. YouTube viewers. Yes. 2 questions from YouTube.
good.
As explained before, in smart cities, there are many projects. One of the core elements is all the time really energy saving, street lighting, doing all the things. So traffic parking principle, manage traffic in cities, it's a core element, and water, waste, this is the 4 core, which are there in all these smart city projects. In Europe, you see a little bit more also some touristic use cases or and get more information about the city, blah, blah, blah. We have problems all the time there. Who's paying for the service? We have to invest. Who's paying for the service?
And especially smart city. Smart city is always the same like in transformer monitoring. The cases are not complex or very often not complex from the IoT perspective, but to keep it operational. Or you have the data, and then it's very often still in silo. I have a smart lighting, and I have smart parking, but both are different solutions and are not talking to each other. So the smart light is not being dimmed if not really the car is on the ground. It's dimmed because it's following and dimming timing. So also here on smart city level, there is also a lot of potential, believe me, to optimize this kind of things. But also this is something, first of all, the government was here in India giving this 100 city, smart city initiative. No? But also here it was a way that they have created again in this initiative silos. There was no concept. So you have now a cool water monitoring solution, but this is connected to nothing. So very often the idea of an umbrella, even for this first phase, was not there. So now the challenge is there are some things installed, and I have to reuse that. But now bringing this into in context, this is then the complexity, especially in smart city. Yeah, we have here from YouTube a question like if driverless cars are coming, or if then all this insurance discussions are going down, and if then not everything is clear. No, for sure not. Of course, the driver score calculation is then not needed anymore, but even there I can create other things. The system efficiency, because one car producer has done his programming for autonomic driving that way, the other one that way. So of course an insurance company is again interested in how effective is this system or how not. Then again, if I'm coming with my profile into such a car, of course it's relevant to collect also this information. It's not anymore direct around my case, because the case is now switching then to the OEM. So how good the system was being programmed. So collecting the information is always the same.
I cannot read it. I have not my glasses here.
Well, so there's another question around operation analytics. What we can read from log files. This is really a challenging part. Why? Because very often you're developing a solution because you need a version 1.0 to come fast to market to get revenues. And of course, in best case, you have already designed the solution level that a lot of these elements out of the complete value chain are creating reports, log files. If someone is telling me that from the beginning on he was optimizing his complete end-to-end solution, including also all these operational log files, never ever. The important thing is when you know your ecosystem, then at least you should be prepared. A good example, you remember the TCUs? Believe me, during the phase when the OEMs have onboarded the first TCUs here in India for drive tests, the first idea was testing the coverage here in India, and not how stable is the device. During that time, we changed this discussion. Give me all your raw data from the GSM module, because then we can see how your solution, your device, embedded device solution, is reacting on the situation on the network. You will never change the network. The network are designed as they are designed, so you have to live with the condition, not to qualify the condition. You have to qualify your application. So, and if I do not have the right interface to get these log files, the real log files that I need, then you are blind. And this was a good example. So 2 cases. One time there was a device that was not providing that, or on a so high level that it was useless. In another case, we got really the raw files that we needed. And this is a good example how you can extend that to all of these elements. From the design, you have to think about where should be such an interface, and when the time is there, maybe with your version 1.5, you are adapting first things. This is the way how you're starting it.
Okay, thank you so much. We've got a small token of appreciation to you would like to. Mr. Thomas.
Yeah.
Thanks for spending time
Okay,
with us.
thank you.
Really enjoy the session.
Thank you so much. It has been a very insightful session for all of us.
Thanks for the time. Bye.